Yeah.
Right. So we're good. We're on. I think there's going to be a little bit of a lag, but welcome to probably be the one and only attempt at doing this in our very not professional, not very slick way. But we're both, James, why don't you go ahead? You want to introduce yourself to the community?
Hold on, I'm getting some feed.
Are you already getting some stuff showing?
Right, there we go. I just had to mute the stream. That's all.
Oh, yeah, sure. Are you already getting some stuff? Oh, I got to mute myself over here too.
I just had to mute the stream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. There we go. See, we're real pros here.
It's great. Try and also not distract myself. Yeah, so I don't know who all is in the chat, if anyone, but I suppose I'll watch it later. But yeah, I'm James. I used to go by Goalsbane online. It's a myth reference. Now I just tend to use my real name. But yeah, I've been a Bungie fan since Marathon, but really Myth 97 was the big hook for me getting into the community.
And when you say Marathon, so you must have been what, 12?
Yeah, I was 10, 11, 12, that kind of age.
Right. Do you remember the machine you were using back then?
It was mainly a Mac Performer 5400, I think. It was my mum's.
Yeah, that was like the console of our time back then.
Right. Yeah, it was like the family computer.
Right. Yeah.
And I think she also had my mum was the Mac person in the house. Like my dad was sort of use Windows, and my mum had the Macs. We had a Mac Classic, and she had a 180C PowerBook laptop as well.
Wow. Yeah.
And then later on, we got some like secondhand LC 475s. My brother and I, a pair of them. We just like networked them together, and they were kind of garbage, but we could play a bit of Marathon in the house.
Marathon net play, right? Yeah. Right. Back in the days of Local Talk.
Yeah, I think by the time we did that, it was already kind of like retro hardware. So it was like just whatever we had our hands on, and then I kind of started getting my own laptops and iMacs and things.
Right. So I'm it's Miguel, and Free Will was my old tag. You know, I'm just pulling it out of the retirement in case anyone cares. But I would say that I started Pathways was probably when I started. I didn't know any of the games previous to that, and I was kind of on that cusp of back when the Macs were. There were like these demos that would be sent out with all these games all the time, and I was not a guy that was brought up. So I must have been in my teens, late teens, maybe even like 20 or so, and I was not someone that was like tied into, the news groups or the old game stuff. But I was working in a company that we were like a design company. We were actually a publishing company. And so because of that, back then, publishing meant Mac. And so we would get those. I don't know if this happened over in the UK, but I know over here, the Mac Warehouse was like the big mail order seller. And they would send you like back before PDFs and all that and online, whatever, you would get like a catalog like almost every week, if not every other day, because that was their thing. And then they would also bundle it with so if you ordered like, a keyboard or a mouse or a drive or a machine or whatever, in the thing would be a thing, and then also demo discs. And I remember that's how I saw, amongst all the games, there was this one, Pathways, and I think that's what hooked me. And then from then on, but I never knew Minotaur or Nop or any of those things. But that was definitely the start, and then I was with them throughout. Even though I hope that you'll talk about your stuff that you're doing now, or that you've been assisting with Myth. But I don't know if you still consider yourself. Are you still playing, or curious about playing their games?
Yeah, I still play Destiny 2. For better or worse, it's
yeah,
it's kind of I'm kind of waiting for it to end in a way so I can move on with my life.
Right.
The completionist in me is making that kind of hard to let go of, because it's kind of obviously new content all the time, live service. But yeah, I mean, lately I have been playing more Myth, and we can talk about that whenever. Because it's, you know, it's been updated. It's been updated by the fans.
And that is, again, the thing that, you know, like you said, 97 or so, that's when the first Myth game came out. And here we are, like 30 years later almost. And and it's still got life in it. There's a lot I can pontificate about how unfair it like, I think with a lot of Bungie stuff, it came too early. You know, like, it was, if it had just been a little bit later during the mobile days, Unity and all that, it could have had more life to it, because I still don't understand why no one's made a Unity or like a tablet or whatever, like a mobile game version of Myth. It seems like it's perfectly suited for that, but for some reason, it hasn't happened yet. But anyway, so listen, I know we got a few folks here. They're probably getting bored already, and I'm going to just admit right now, a lot of this is just for posterity. A lot of this is, maybe you're going to say, well, this is just a hoarder going through his material, and just, like, you know, and I will fully accept that. It is something where I'm thinking to myself, will someone ever be interested in knowing what some of these things are? And so this is the one place that I'm going to show it. And then I actually have a lot of this stuff is going to actually go away, because I've actually arranged with someone else, one of the younger crew, to take on a lot of this. But this is my one chance at actually being able to talk about it and you know, give it one last push. And I know, James, you also have a couple of things too. And James, please feel free to interrupt me if you want to throw in some of your stuff. But I'll start with some of the weird. Well, I'll do some of my bona fides. So here is back. I'm gonna have to turn on the add to the stage. Okay, yeah. So here's my little presentation table, and so here is, like we were talking about. Here's 1999. I was at Macworld, and here we were on like a Myth tournament. So I guess a year or 2 years after the game had launched, it had actually built enough that it had actually gone into like tourney play.
Nice.
Which was like quite cool. And at the same time, I'm in no way suggesting that I'm a worthy player. When I see what those Myth World Cup folks are doing now, it's pretty insane. But I was okay for a while there, and that was definitely a fun time when this was when it was at about its heyday.
It's funny because this year is actually the first time I've ever competed in a Myth World Cup.
and how did you do?
Well,
are you still in the way?
We're in the qualifying round, so
that's
the next match is, well, I mean, there's like two tiers. There's like the four like good teams, and there's the four like whatever teams.
Okay, right, the other side, right?
Yeah,
so it's like a lot.
We've done the first two rounds, the last 2 weekends. The next round is on Saturday,
and
we've not done very well.
Okay, so you're squeaking by.
Well, we're just competing. We're just taking part, I guess.
Right. You're the, what is it called? You're the thrall.
Yeah, we're the fodder. The team is called called the Misfits.
Oh, I see.
And it's just a bunch of random people who've never played before,
right?
Just trying to make up the numbers. But it's good fun.
Well, so I'll show. I got a few Myth things I can show. This is, I mean, I don't think this is any big deal, but it's the fact that I still have them in boxes.
Yeah.
So here's the box. I think, you know, these are both the Mac versions, and I'm not going to open them, but you can see here. This is what games used to come in. These nice big boxes, a lot of art. You know.
Yeah, the TFL box in particular is huge.
Yeah, I have so this was here's the codex. Now here, this is how crazy I was, that I would take it out of its wrapping, but I'd save the packaging.
Yeah.
So here's the box, and look, I had a nice little pull out.
Yeah, the fold outs are cool.
Yeah. They did a nice job with this stuff. I wish I knew who the designers were. For a little while there, I kind of knew a bunch of those folks.
Yeah.
So those are the myth.
This is the relevant sort of thing I have for that, which is the German version of Myth.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome! Here, let me put you on front stage here. Oh, why isn't it working?
Yeah,
no, I can't do it. Oh, because I got to put you. Okay, hold on a second. I got to do this. And
yeah, there's a bit of a.
I'm just
glare, unfortunately. But,
how can I get you? I can't do it. Look at this. I'm such a pro here. There we go. All right, you're here side by side. Look at that.
So this is Crusade into the Unknown, I think it was called.
Wow.
The translation, but the interesting thing about this is that if you look at the screenshots,
yes,
there's no blood.
Oh, was that a thing back then?
Yeah, this
they
was
had
the
to. They had
German censorship thing.
Okay.
There is a no blood vote. There's like an option in the game that anyone can use.
I do remember that.
Blood, but the Germans were one of the main reasons why that was a thing. So I just bought that on a whim on eBay at some point, and it's shrink wrapped. And I just thought, well, I hang on to this because it's kind of a unique, like, side note in the story.
Do we know how many? We have some folks commenting. He's never seen the German box. Do we know how many languages it came out in?
I think it was at least like.
Was there an Italian version?
The French, Spanish, Italian, German. There was a Japanese version, but all the others, they were all like, Latin languages. So
yeah,
like fonts. They don't have a Cyrillic version or anything like that.
And I wonder what Bungie's involvement was with that, like how integrated they were in that process, or if it gets handed off to some company and they take care of it. And I
expect they were involved to a degree, but there's a lot of stuff in it that's like names of characters have been like translated kind of strangely in a way that is not like, it's kind of like it's not cohesive. So you get the story being told about this person. The game is called Soulblighter, and he's referred to throughout as like some random other name, and you're like, when am I going to meet this Soulblighter guy?
Yeah, half face.
Like, no, that is him. That's the guy who'd be calling
half face. Right.
Well, there's a few things like that I feel like if Bungie were more involved, then they might have said, yeah, let's fix that.
Well, and that again is an example of how things have changed, because now we see with Destiny or even Halo, I mean, they were everything was handled on their end. Maybe they're still working with outside groups, but I think all approvals and everything were all being done through them. And I guess they had they made sure the fidelity of the story, fidelity of the whole thing stayed. So I thought that's pretty cool. All right, so that's that for that. I'm gonna jump backwards. I'm gonna show. These are a little bit beat up, but yeah. So here's my. I gotta turn back on the thing here. How do I do that? I go here. I go here. There it is. So there is the infamous. I don't even know what shape you would call this. It's like a
Toblerone.
Yeah, it's a very unusual, and you can see that it was kind of crushed in because I was trying to pack it up, and I guess because of the weird shape, it just got mangled. But this was the original, I guess, box that it came in.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever was in anything other than this kind of box. I think I don't know if it ever was in a plain. Oh no, wait, oh no, yeah. So here I am. Here it is, the plain box.
Okay, still pretty avant-garde.
Yeah. Well, it still had the recessed shape in there, and so they still did that. And this was, you can see here. So I got this somewhere. This is a $10. I think just like you, I just saw it somewhere. So, I got to grab that. Probably the one thing sitting in some store, and I just said I have to grab that. And this says here designed for Windows. So this is the Windows version. And then I have, of course, the actual original one. And I guess I did open it. And I took out stuff, but I guess I'll show the folks if anyone's interested. I mean, you know, again, this was the day when things came printed, and it was a really, you know, back then there was a real thing to writing these things. Oh, look, there's a serial number. Oh, I don't want you to see that. You grab my serial number. But look, here you could win 128 megs of.
Yeah, I got one of them.
Yeah. Like, oh, you can get 128 megs of RAM.
Yeah.
That's expensive for back then.
Here's mine from the Myth.
You got your, oh yeah, there you go.
56. It's an upgrade.
You got the better one.
Well, that was by 97. They'd given you a bit more RAM, but same
right.
like manual. But.
Yes. And so yeah, there are all these pullouts in here to just, you know, it's just interesting to see what they were. You can get more network numbers for $15 each. So you could, if you wanted to add more folks in, you know, it's $15. So that's back then, again, multiplayer, you know. And if you think about it, it's not like as if they actually had any overhead necessarily for a player. I mean, we're talking, you know, back then in those days, it was just simply give us a little bit of money.
Here, well, they had all sorts of like cross-promotional deals with ISPs and things like that.
Yes, right.
Companies to kind of make a bit of cash.
Right. Here's their newsletter.
Oh wow.
From back then. So this is Bungie. I don't know if these had numbers on them. This says fall of '96. Okay. So this is still Marathon, deep in Marathon, although I'm imagining they were probably working on Myth and they weren't ready to announce. But this was back when they were still they were doing, like, if you see here, there's the Butcher, the Weekend Warrior.
Yeah.
So that was, I forget what the story is with that, but I think that was them trying to like use somebody else's, you know, them being like, you know, marketing. I don't think it was ever anything that they actually worked on. I could be wrong on that. This is why I wish Claude was here, because then he'd be correcting me on this stuff. But yeah, you can see some of the classic shirts. I never got any of these. The Carnage shirt, I think I did have at some point, but that was, yeah. So this was all this kind of stuff you would get back then, thrown in there. I'll make my pile, and then of course later the big thing was when everything was done, you would get the trilogy box set. And that contains, so I guess this was a few years later. This is probably even, I want to say this was even maybe around the time of Myth, you know, like, but they were just, I guess because they were seeing the popularity of the game that they decided to, let's bundle the classic.
Yeah.
So they put them, all the 3 games, all into one box. And
yeah, we've got Lorraine in the chat.
We do?
We do, yeah.
Hey, Lorraine.
Mev.
Lorraine, Mev, I got, okay, now she's gonna make me, because I don't know how long she's gonna stay, but I'm gonna now pull out the thing that she did.
I have something of hers as well here.
Yeah? Okay.
I have an original piece of art actually, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, no, I don't have an original. I mean, I have, so we did the Pillar of Art on halobungie.org, and so the Pillar of Art was our attempt at classing up this joint. And I remember I emailed her, and she was so gracious and like saying, okay, sure, I'll be a judge. And what it was is that we asked people to actually traditionally create art, not digitally, but use traditional manner of creating art inspired by the game. And we actually got, I mean, I want to say like maybe 30 pieces of art mailed to me, to my house. And I will show a few more pieces of it. But what was so nice is that at the end, Mev sent me this. And so this is, you see the Pillar of Art, and this is her work. And she gave me, look at that beautiful signature there.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Love it. So that was beautiful. I love that. If I'm lucky enough, maybe I'll stumble across the one time she actually gave me a lesson on how to draw the Master Chief. I don't even know if she remembers that. But we were at some conference, and we were just all hanging out there, and then I just said, "Hey, how do you draw the Master Chief?" And she actually said, "Oh, okay." And she like took out a piece of paper and she said, "Here's the chest plate, and here's the thing." And then I tried doing it. Of course, mine looked horrible, but I actually have a sheet of her sketch and my sketch side by side.
Yeah.
I will then use this opportunity to then bring up this, because this was also happening early on, which again, I don't think anyone else. I don't see this on eBay. So when we were starting with the Halo Fan Fests, oh, that's great, Matt. She remembers. We were actually, I think maybe 4 or 5 fan fests in, Bungie was really acknowledging what we were doing, and then they were kind of bringing in their own resources. And I guess a year into Halo, Jen agreed to show up for one of the fan fests, and she had these. This was like her, she was signing it. If you can look it up, you can see her. And the thing what she loved to say back then, not to me, but what she said in interviews, like she was scared to death. She was just an actress, voiceover actress, or an actress. And here she was surrounded by a bunch of rabid fans. And she had like, what is all this about? But I'm so thankful the Bungie guys convinced her to come. And now the funny thing though is that she actually didn't. I got this, but I don't think she actually signed this. There, I kept this, and then she did a thing much later where they came to my house and we filmed one of the like a land gathering here. You weren't here for that, right? No, you were at the Connecticut ones over at right. Yeah, but we did do one over here leading up to Halo 3, I think. And she came by, and then I had this, and now I gave it to her, and I'm pretty sure that's when she signed it. I could be wrong. The only reason I say that is because she made it way too personal there to Bungie's #1 fan. I don't know if I would have told her that then. Maybe I did. I don't know. But anyway, it's just quite a memory. Yeah. And so this is another little bit of. I think these are hard to come by. I don't think you can get Jen's signature on this stuff from back then, at least.
Nice.
This is how crazy it was. I had a second trilogy box, one that I could open, so you can actually see the contents in here. And there's the scrapbook. So I think maybe you can correct me. I think Hamish wrote much of this, right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, that sounds right.
I think Hamish was asked to kind of write about all this, but this is again another rare. You put that. Oh, look, Mev. Yeah. So Mev composed that headshot.
Yeah.
The one of Cortana. So yeah. So this is again the beginnings of like the fanhood where they realized they could actually talk about their legacy was the Marathon scrapbook, and I think it did pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, so now since Mev is here, I'll show the Oni boxes.
Nice.
Which were quite. Again, this is a nice. I don't know, Mev, if you remember. I mean, did you design this box? I wonder. But the fact that it's like this like rainbow translucent chromish packaging was really quite interesting. I don't know if these are the same.
Exotic edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again with the fold outs.
Yeah. Yeah, they're still doing fold outs then.
Yeah. This was good stuff, and I could even show. I do have the door poster folded up.
Yeah, I've got it in the tube here.
Ah, look at you. Yes. I have mine came out. It was hanging on my door, and the edges are all torn up, but I still have it. Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
Here you go.
It's not gonna all unfold on.
Yeah.
But that's 4 or 5 foot tall. Used to be on the back of my door, but
Right. And
sort of less acceptable these days to have that sort of pin up.
Yeah, right. Now it's all like desktop wallpapers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Keep your hobbies hidden.
Oh, she's giving us great commentary. She says by the time
Phoenix,
she
yeah.
was in Redmond, then she's working on Phoenix. Oh, look, she's revealing her work on Phoenix.
Whatever Phoenix was or is.
Take-Two, Trebuchet, Phoenix.
Trebuchet.
Take-Two used art I made to design the box. Okay, so that answers that.
Do you want me to show the original piece I have?
Oh yeah, let's see.
So this was from when I was helping out with the BungieNet forums with Max, Yerowin, and Akronos and guys like that.
Modem.
And I was just kind of admin. This is around the Halo 2, pre-Halo 2 era. And I was kind of helping out beta test things and finding bugs and stuff and reporting stuff. And I think I won a prize for finding some bug, and they very kindly shipped me out a whole bunch of stuff, including this wonderful original piece, which you recognize what that is.
I couldn't tell you what the name of it is.
It's the Prophet's Chair.
Okay, but I wasn't given a name though, right? I
the
thought
title is Gone Fishing.
Oh, Gone Fishing. Okay,
it's the empty chair, and I think this was used for like a 404 page on the BungieNet site. But this is the original pen and ink drawing, and it's
holy smokes, Lorraine,
2004.
Wow.
For BungieNet. So this, I've had this folded up for a while, but I should probably frame it.
That's awesome. But so, are you really saying that's like original, or you think? I mean, you can kind of tell. You can see.
I mean, you can see all the.
So that's a one. That's a one-off.
It's a one-off. So yeah. It was presumably then turned into like a a colored graphic that was.
Yeah, she just said that I did that chair based on Sheik's art. So, so using that's nice.
Yeah. So I got that in the post. Bunch with some other stuff actually.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
This is the Halo poster, but it's a little message from Max there.
Max. Oh yeah, you're beta testing.
Yeah, but he wrote me a really, really lovely like reference letter as well, because I was applying for jobs around that time, and he sent me like a Microsoft Xbox letterheaded like Redmond, like I recommend.
Right.
For any beta testing job or whatever, or community management. So yeah. No, there was always a huge kind of feeling that like people at Bungie really appreciated fans getting involved and helping out, and they really rewarded that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the main thing that kind of got me hooked into the community was that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll segue into my or whatever you want to call it origin story, but I was again, like I said, I was working at a publishing company. So Max and I was like the tech guy. So I was getting I was purchasing whatever was needed, whatever. So then that gave me the reason to then fly out to all these Macworld Expos. So I was getting free flights to twice a year to Boston and San Francisco. Again, folks who've been around for a long time will know exactly what this is in the heyday of the Mac, I guess, whatever, the business world or whatever. And so Bungie would have a booth there. And what I was so taken aback. I mean, I was knee deep in Marathon back then, and I was enthralled with Hamish's Marathon story page, and all what I'm sure captivated all of us fans, just the richness of the story and everything. And so then imagine you're thinking of all that, like this is top notch. And then you would go to the expo and Alex and Max and Jason are in like a little rinky dinky booth. Relatively speaking, Adobe had a huge booth. Quark back then had a huge booth. Apple, of course, had a huge booth. And in the game section, it was they were next to whatever Mac Play, and I forget what the other companies were. And so I would make it a point to hassle people. I would say hello to the guys and say, hey, do you love your game? I think of my media reaction. I don't understand why you're not flooded with people. Like this booth should be filled with folks asking about the next games. And they're like, oh, and I think that's where I also got the sense of the Chicago sort of like, they weren't full of themselves. They were just very kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, this is great. Why are you so intense, man? Stay away from me, But yeah, like what's going on with it? And then so again, because of the schedule, I really had like 3 days to just hang out. And so I would go to the few things and then the rest of the time I'd just stay there. I'd just be hanging around and I would be a few feet away into the crowd and I'd say, I'd be telling people, our kids, like, go over there. And I think they caught on to my intensity there and how much I was so going crazy. And that's when it became like, and then that movie came out, the Stephen King movie with the novelist and Kathy Bates hobbles his legs. But her line is like, I'm your #1 fan. And so that's the thing. I was like, oh, I'm Bungie's #1 fan. And then it kind of just took. And like I think like what you're saying, they weren't like, talk to our people or whatever. Misery. Thank you, Matt. It wasn't something where they were like, okay, yeah, that's fine, whatever. They were like, oh, this is cool. This is all good. And it's funny and weird and just like we are and whatever, Yeah. And so for like a good 3-4 years, I was hanging around. They kind of knew, like they would see me coming and like, oh yeah, there he is, the guy who loves their stuff. And that's when I started noticing other folks that are now, I guess started, Claude was a Mac guy. Couple of Mac folks would start, we would start to kind of coalesce around there. And we were kind of like, I mean, now you think about it, a Bungie booth is obviously flooded. It's like, there's always going to be a crowd around there when they were doing Halo and then Destiny and whatever. So we were like at that beginning. And yeah, and I actually, I guess this little story of, Max did approach me at one point saying, hey, do you want to join the group? And I was like in the middle, I was doing pretty well at work and all that, but I don't know if I had taken them up. I wonder what would have happened for me. I could have been, I guess, an early community guy, but before there was really community guy. Hey, Robert. So yeah, it was really interesting to be there. I know Claude was also offered. I don't want to. Maybe I shouldn't speak for Claude, but I know he was offered, and it was the same thing. It was like, well, we kind of have already our established things, so we couldn't really do it. But no, I always wonder like what would have happened.
Yeah, that was definitely like something that, I mean, I was a kid at school at the time, but I was kind of thinking like it would be great to kind of be on the other side of that, obviously. But like doing that community stuff, which like I was doing anyway from this end, but it's like, how do you kind of, what's the sort of go-between role?
Yeah. Okay. And so just to toot your own horn for a bit, you did, I know early on you were part of myth.bungie.org. And so you were like early on, you were kind of entrenched in there and grabbing that mythos, And
I mean, I think I got involved. That website had been established for a while, and Forrest was running it. And it was based on some earlier stuff by, I think, a guy called Josh Starr, maybe. And all the kind of story page and stuff was there. But I think I just got involved in the forums there and then gradually started contributing articles and then working on stuff for the website. And eventually I kind of like redesigned parts of it. But I was also kind of involved in the marathon story page in a similar sort of way, because I was basically learning web development at that point, like when I was in my mid-late teens, which is now, what I'm doing professionally. So it was kind of through interacting with the game and the community of the game that I kind of learned how to put a web page together and how to kind of put this information online that was, fans could access it, even if they couldn't play the game. Because I was at school playing on the school, not playing, but using the school computers. I didn't have my own laptop at that point. and that was all locked down, and I couldn't install games. So my only real interaction with the community was through these forums, having these debates, like reading all the journal entries online. So you know, I needed a way to kind of to consume and produce that stuff that wasn't through the game, through NetPlay or whatever.
Right. It did feel so, you know, I mean, part of the other half of my story is that I would let go. Like, so I haven't played Destiny like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years in any serious sense. I just feel like I can't catch up to it. And I guess that sort of the completist thing that's in me is like, well, if I can't complete it, then, you know, really. But I tend to become aware of the loop, and I start saying, you know, why am I doing this? I'm in a loop, you know. I'm like, there should be other things which I can do. So I'm not really the key guy you can't hook me in too long. I'll eventually start saying, okay, I think I'm kind of done, which is again part of why I worked so well with Bungie, because, you know, every 3 years there'd be a new game or so, and like, okay, that's the end of Marathon, that's on to Myth, and then that's the end of Myth, time to go into Halo, and then so on and so forth. But I have to say, when Marathon started percolating again, I hadn't really, you know, tuned into Hamish's story page. And if there was any example of a community, it was the story page for something that long ago. And you know, the Bungie marketing, whatever it is, you know, has its own flavor and whatever. But when I started reading Hamish's entries again, I felt like I'm getting sucked back into this. He has a way of crafting these. He definitely has a particular writing style, and it makes it kind of like, ooh, what is this? Is this like, is he giving, you know? And the thing is, of course, Hamish has no insight, but he just knows how to write things in such a way that
perpetuates the intrigue.
Yeah, it's just really tantalizing and like, oh, well, maybe there's something here, and we'll see. And he's really good at that, and I'm so thankful that I guess 2000, I forget when it would be, but yeah, like when Halo was announced at Macworld, he visited me. He came here. He hung out, got to meet my family and everything. I'll never forget those few days where he was here, and just a charming fellow. I hope to come over to your side. I hope to see a bunch of you folks. But yeah, that was really something else. But shall we continue? I'll show Mev some more. This is when I would pilfer things. I would do so. Yeah. So this was, I think I visited. I don't. Again, these are rare. I don't know if anyone else has these, but this was when I visited the offices once, and they just said, "Hey, here, you want these?" And these were just hanging out. So these are whatchamacallit, just like these. You know. Oh shoot! Of course, now my mind's going blank. But you know, stuff to throw your pages in, I guess, for like school work or whatever, or presentations and such. But again, them repurposing their art to make something like this was pretty neat, a unique thing. And then this was over the press kit folders. Thank you. This was the stuff. If anyone has memories of visiting. This might have been 99 Macworld. This must have been like 2000 or something. Maybe this could even be E3, I think. But this is what they used to give folks that demo where you would come in. It wasn't the demo. I think it was the scripted. This is Destiny now. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is Halo. I'm sorry. I'm getting all flummoxed here. This is the that little video that the Sarge did, where he would say he would treat you like the recruits, and it'd be just like a little scripted thing. I don't think it was more than like maybe 7 minutes or so. But this was now where there was a line. You had to wait online, and the presentation, and it would go all the way around the booth. And once so because I was hanging out, once the show was over, these guys don't want to bring this stuff. Yeah, that's it. I waited until it was over, and they're packing up, and they're like, we don't want to take this back. And so I just grabbed it. Look, here's the old. This was what they hung up above every console and TV, so you could see there how to play the game. You can see. So yeah, so I pulled all this out, just threw it in my bag, and just was with me. I don't know who created this stuff. Yes, it looks so. Yeah, this is really all her. Mev, I should send you back all this. This is all your work, all this beautiful encore work. I will touch on. So, going very retro.
Oh yeah.
The pathways, and this is, I don't know. I'm not sure which is which. This, I think, is the first one, and this is the second one, because then it has the Mac like game of the year. So this must be the first printing of the box, and this is the second.
I've got that.
You got
one.
yours. You got, okay.
With the same like $1.
So we probably got it from the same.
Well, I got it from Claude, I think.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Claude and I we're the ones who
he was just like, I got a pile of these things, you know, take it. And it's still in its shrink wrapping, of course.
Right. Yeah, still in the shrink wrap. And yeah. So the joke is that if you look at the stickers here, it's like it was like $5, then $3, and then $1. Yeah. So they were. So whatever computer store had these was like, get these out of here. And I remember making a big deal. Claude and I know we were like, oh look, we can get our hands on this. And I remember telling the guy, whoever I bought it from, says, oh look, we're big Bungie fans. Thanks so much. And I think he kind of put 2 and 2 together. And on the box he shipped them in, I could show it to you if I was able to move the camera. It says Halo Rules. And then also on the other side a big marathon sign. So whoever that person was, he knew what it was about these games. And yeah, just to make it clear, James, we could right now sell these for a pretty penny.
You think so?
You look them up on eBay.
Okay.
These are like about $200, $300
no way.
Each. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so my friend who I'm giving this all to, I'm telling him, hold on to these.
A good deal.
Yeah, you can, if you need to make some money. I think that Gen sign that can go for, I think, a pretty penny too. So let me.
I know. I'm holding on to this forever. It's coming with me to my grave.
Or you give it to your children.
Yeah. Pass it down.
Yeah. So here's the Myth 2 soundtrack. Here's the Halo Mac disc CD. Oh, let's see what Mev is writing. Mev, if you want to join, you tell me and I'll send you a link. You can come into this if you want.
Right.
I know it's probably pretty early for you, but just letting you know. And I'm so glad Brian's here. Brian.
Yeah. Brian
is the coolest guy. I'm so glad to see you. And you're Brian, the podcast that you did, it floored me. It floored me, Brian. You're such a good guy. Thank you so much for telling that story. I think part of the reason I'm doing this is because when I saw what you did, like for posterity's sake, now there's a story of Brian Morden and his legacy, and just what a terrific guy he was. And so that's kind of like, I think, spurred me on, like, we should make a documentation of all this stuff. Anyway, going back, so here are the Halo 2 soundtracks. Here's what I was talking about. This is probably all before Mev's time, but so this was a power computing disc. This, if anyone remembers, Mev's still in bed. We don't want that bed hair on camera. Power computing was one of the bigger Mac clones. There was a period of time when they were considered like the cheaper alternative to buying a Mac. Of course, Jobs, as soon as Jobs got back in, he put the kibosh on that. But for a moment there, they were really aggressive, and I actually bought a couple of power computing because they were basically just PC boxes, running an emulation, running the Motorola chip so they could do the software. But what was interesting is that this is a demo, and so it actually has on here. You can kind of see it there. It says they're Bungie, and so it has it has a demo of, I forget what it is. It could be Myth, or it could be Marathon. But it was fun just to have that. I like kept it like, oh, look at that. They actually, who knows how much Bungie actually participated in making that happen. Maybe they just simply were part of a package of demos that they just got folded into things. This may be unique. So this, I think, this is not Bungie, but I want to show just how old that I am. This is Amiga. You can kind of see there. This is Amiga, the computers. And this, to me, I kept this because it reminded me a lot about Marathon and NetPlay. And you can kind of see it had like 4-screen, kind of like Halo, 4-screen co-op. And it was quite intense because so you would grab a quadrant of the keyboard, all 4 of us players, and you had to then run and gun through a game. So I just kept this because it's a part of my early life, even before the Mac. Here is the Wolf Age.
Nice.
And it included a board game, which I wouldn't pull out, but it's in there.
Yeah.
A little board game in there.
Look, compare the size of that box to
right.
And
yeah. And let's see here. And then this I just kept as a joke. This was at Macworld. This was being handed out by the developer. This was like some demo of some kind of game or something or other. This is but I kept it because it said Blam, and because that was the code name of Halo, right? Yeah, I have that. I think I have that right.
Blam there's references to Blam in the Myth source code as well.
Myth, right? I think it was kind of just a typical like secret whatever code word they would just use if they didn't want to, or just a throwaway thing, a placeholder like in the code or something. But anyway,
profanity filter safe.
Right. Yeah, that's if you were asking about the here's Marathon, and here's Myth 3.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
It's just stopped, and you just get a CD, and then you just download it.
yeah, right.
Relics of a forgotten time.
Yes. Mev's asking how was Myth 3, and I have to tell you, I don't know. I never
did play it. I did play Myth 3.
You all the way through?
The thing with Myth 3 is it was made by really hardcore fans of the game who really cared a lot about it.
I know a lot of those guys.
A lot of the modding community and just great game developers as well.
Andrew
I think it was very hard. Like they had like budget issues and schedule issues, but also just capturing the tone of something that had been created by a completely different team is always really difficult, I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was so Craig Goodman, who was one of, with Mike. So I belong to Clan Plaid, which is like one of the oldest Myth clans, and we've continued to stay. We just had a gathering a few weeks ago. We've been in touch for a long time. But Craig Goodman was one of our members. A sweet guy who died way too young from brain cancer, and but he did the World War II map, the plugin for Myth, and then he got involved with Myth 3. And I forget exactly what he did, but it was him, Andrew Meggs, and so on and so forth.
Well, they built a lot of that game in the Myth 2 engine because the Myth 3 engine was still being worked on. So they were like, let's build it all, and then we'll just port it to the engine.
Port it over.
That.
Right.
So basically, they were just using the same tools that they'd always used for like Fear and Loathing to create mods.
Right.
And that's why they hired them, and Fish, Iggy Pop, a few of those other guys.
Yeah. And I just remember when the game, like, he wrote something like, oh yeah, we're done, we went gold or whatever, and we're all set. And then I remember like the next day or something, he says, oh, we just got kicked out. and it was like budget was tight,
Yeah.
and it was like, sorry, we're done. They were basically hired contractors up until like as soon as they shipped, and like goodbye. And I think part of their frustration was that they shipped knowing that there were bugs and that they were hoping they were going to be able to come back and fix them and so on. But they could never get, it was never going to happen. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And I tried playing it, I just didn't have the hardware, and yeah, just didn't have that sort of Bungie magic in terms of the story, that unless you tell me otherwise, unless you tell me there is.
Well, I think the issue, that my personal feeling is that they set out specifically to answer all of these questions that you had about the story that was deliberately kind of left ambiguous. And that's what the fans have been arguing and discussing and debating about for years. So it's like, surely, getting an answer to this is what you want. But I think in the end, it kind of takes away some of that magic when you're just handed this thing. It's kind of treated a bit as like, well, what authority do you have to decide what happened to, what the Cathbroig Empire or whatever? It's just
or maybe it then feels like you're reading a reference book instead of an adventure, or
a piece of fan fiction.
Right.
Without the kind of, it could have done that and still been a great game in its own right if it had like sold the kind of the storytelling. But I think the budget situation and the publisher support was just not really there to to support that dream.
And if I could use that to kind of just do a little sidebar here, I know that like Max is doing fantastic. Max Hoberman, he's running that company, Certain Affinity, and so on. But it's what's interesting to me is that early on, and maybe my timeline is a little off, but I think Certain Affinity did a sort of a game. They did like a pirate game. I don't know if that was Bungie or Certain Affinity or some sort
Age of Booty, was that it?
Age of Booty, right? And he was like, okay, Myth did this. Well, Marathon did this. Myth did this. Oni kind of did this, and Halo definitely did this. Fan fervor, and he says we put the same sort of ingredients in here. There's a little bit of lore, a little bit of tantalizing hints, and so on and so forth. And he was like, well, we're hiring a community guy and we're getting ready, and nothing came of it. And I think he was like, I remember talking to him about it. He was like, yeah, it's not as easy, to just simply, pull a little bit of A, pull a little bit of B and C, and then put it in there, and then yeah, here we go. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm meandering here, but I do remember this Carl Sagan show, and one of his things like, oh yeah, well, human body is made of this calcium and water and this, and he's like, oh, let's dump chalk and this, and he's like, let's mix it, and like, where's the human body? He's like, no, it's not. There's more to it than that. So definitely lesson learned, and I think it's kind of one of those things that again makes it why the company kind of was very fortuitous and where it was when it created these games, and that sort of wry storytelling that they did and everything,
and I think also having people who are writing it that are very well read, have a lot of references to draw on. I know Jason Jones and Robert and everyone who was contributing to the story, Marathon and Myth, like they're drawing on all of these things, that inserting like names and stuff, and well, kind of without that background, you're just kind of it's copy and paste rather than twist and reinvention. And,
I know that Robert, I mean, it should be pretty apparent, but Robert is like, he's intensely into weapons. He's really like, I would almost say a savant about weapons. He loves his weapons. And I think like, yeah, you need that guy to be creating the weapons in Halo, like someone who has that sort of fervor and exactitude. It pays off, even though not everyone's staring at the imagery of the rifles and the Covenant, whatever, the plasma pistol, whatever, but there's a thing in there that carries over into it, and then it kind of has a side effect that it makes the story stronger and more like alluring and so on. But anyway, so let's keep going. Some other stuff here.
Yeah, I have a story about actually. I did visit Bungie in Redmond as a kind of follow up to the stuff I was doing with BungieNet. Do you know Stosh? Do you remember Stosh?
Sure, yeah, Stosh.
Yeah, so he and I were both kind of adminning on the BungieNet side. He lived in Seattle, and I just went and visited. I think it was the same year that I came and saw you, but when I was there, we sort of met up with Max, and he invited us around, and Max and Lorraine showed us around the studios, and this was like pre-Halo 2 release, so we were seeing some of the Halo development builds and things like that, and kind of walking around the mostly empty studio. But Robert was there, and he was working on like I think maybe a Covenant carbine, and he was like locked in, and it was like these tiny details that were just like, visitors were like, get out of my way, I'm working here, like one of the only people in the office working. And yeah, it just sort of sums up what you were saying about that, like getting it right and getting
right. Yeah. So here is, I'm going to just quickly show this. This is the fabled action sack, which is again another wry Chicago humor, like an action sack, something, the innuendo of the sack. But yeah, this was their, again, like they're bundling everything. They have
the non-sack version of it, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, right. So yeah, so this was a big deal to be able to get this. Open it up and you get a couple of CDs worth of games in there. And then here's Myth World, which I think was
that was a Take-Two thing, like post sale of the IP. It was a repackaging.
Was it a repackaging of a bunch of plugins?
Yeah,
right?
It was Myth 2, Green Berets.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. There's Jin,
yeah, some existing stuff and then some like custom stuff.
Right, Bushido.
All the major total conversions in there.
Yeah,
like huge amounts of work, like
And I wonder, not to want to speak ill, but did they compensate the creators? I wonder.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I don't know all the details, but yeah, I think so.
Wait, Mev, what was the sack? The sack was Max's. Okay. It may have been his brainchild, but Matt certainly took it and ran with it. So much sack insults thrown back and forth. Here's a little. So
the mouse pad, yeah.
Marty, no, actually, this is not the mouse pad. This is hard. So Tom, my buddy Tom from the Halo days, we were doing a bunch of stuff, and Tom's a graphic guy, and so we had stuff that we would put up on the Cafe Press from back then, which actually still exists. I had no idea that they still exist. And one of the things we did is we grabbed Marty's mullet shot and started putting it everywhere. And this was the back of like those little office basketball game things. So so there would be a hoop here.
Yeah.
And then you just hang it up. And so I just threw out the hoop because who cared? And then I just kept this part.
Yeah.
So here's the Marty Army. We used it in a couple of things, T-shirts and such. You were mentioning the big posters. Here's the Halo 3 wall graphics. So this was something you're supposed to paste, like you would put it in your dorm room, like on the wall. So those are pretty. This is again. I think I just saw these like on clearance, and I just picked them up. Just grabbed them. I have like one or two of them. This was the Berets.
So that had its own box.
Yeah, it did get released.
Yeah, so it was a continuation of Take-Two trying to kind of milk as much as they could out of this IP that they'd acquired.
Take-Two.
But the guy who worked on that is so that Ghost or Ozone, one of those two.
Oh, right. Yes, Ozone. Sure. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's one of the two. I don't want to get the wrong name, but yeah, they were quite involved in the Project Magma kind of myth development. as well, but I haven't seen them in many years now.
So let's see if I can find some other things here. I'm burrowing through all this stuff. You remember you started commenting on duality.
Oh yeah.
This was like at, I guess at Macworld or E3. They were trying to promote the game that never was.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. It looked really cool.
It's very like.
Yeah, yeah. I was really looking forward to it. I thought it was going to be
Was it a Marathon Engine thing, or was it a custom?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a deal. They were going to use the Marathon Engine tweaked to some extent, but yeah. And so here is, I think these are my original. This is my original Marathon discs. So you can see, this is how it came. Back in the day, you had floppies.
Yeah.
So 800, whatever, 770K, and there were all these stuff that came with it, stickers and so on. I'm afraid to even move this paperclip. I think it's going to tear the thing apart. But again, I wonder who wrote all this stuff, like the actual copy here. But look, this is where the floppies would be sitting here in the back. This was, I think, the packageless version that if you bought it through Macworld as like a bundle, so they would send it to you this way, like just like in a shrink wrap of this. So. Yeah. Not an actual box. Let's see here. What is it? So look, here is, I don't know if you ever got these, the Christmas cards.
Let's see. I don't think I got the physical ones, no.
Yeah. So
I sort of set up my own tradition of sending Christmas cards out to people.
Oh, you did?
Like Photoshopped Bungie stuff a couple of years.
Right.
I don't know what happened to that, but
yeah. This was cool. This is it says there it's Robert's work.
Yeah.
Yep, it says there Robert did that. And so yeah, for a little while there I was on their mailing list and I would get stuff. Here's from one of the E3 shows. There's Shishka and Cam who worked for Bungie for a while there, and Tom is in the back. And there I am wearing my wide load shirt.
Oh yeah, I lost my wide load shirt, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to it. I think it got destroyed in the tumble dryer. But I think I have the letter that it came with.
Oh yeah.
Just says congratulations on.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's it.
Nice day. Yeah.
There you go.
It's the pants are, as always, are optional. Yeah, the personal touch.
Right. I don't know how this came. I don't know if it was part of a mailing or what, but this is what it was. And then you would open it up, and
nice.
Yeah. So there it is. Come see us at the booth.
Yeah.
So maybe this was handed out like at the front of one of the expos, like, you know, trying to get folks to visit. But that's great. I mean, that's great. It's very, I love how they would repurpose that stuff. So we're jumping now into the Halo, all the Halo stuff that I've kept over the years. Anytime there was anything mentioning Halo in some magazine, here's the official strategy guide for Halo. So I don't know.
I got that.
I wonder. I'm sure that Mev has a great story of how this was, you know, like the assets that were created. I don't know if she did it or who, but it was definitely a lot of work. You can tell went into that. Here is another myth. I guess this is their promo for Myth. Like it's saying, like it's coming. It says, and yeah, so they highlight that Myth 1 was Game of the Year. And they're like, well, you better get ready because Myth 2 is on its way. Great stuff. Let's see, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, here's something where, so game developer, and then over here you can see postmortem, Myth the Fall. And let me quickly take a look, see who wrote that, because I thought it was an interesting article.
Is that the one with all the like high-res 3D models with wireframes and stuff on it?
Jason Rieger.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So there they are. Oops, I'm gonna tear it up. But there's the team. Yeah. There's Robert with whatchamacallit? What's the big monster again? I forgot. Oh shit! I can't believe I'm
Trow.
The Trow statue.
Oh yeah, just about making it.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't get it in there enough.
Yeah.
Which it was gifted as an award to some, I forget her name. She was so sweet. She worked in like Mac gaming company or something, and she was at one of the tournaments and she won and she got that statue. Yeah. I'm assuming it's that statue. So here's an E3 program. I think the reason I kept it because Bungie's in here somewhere.
Which year is that from?
So this says there 98.
Okay.
Atlanta. So that was the beginning of that.
Before I started sneaking into E3s with questionable credentials. Oh yeah.
I don't know how rare this is. I wonder, because I mean it's the complete soundtrack to Myth, and you see there the total audio. So Marty.
I think you can get it online pretty easily.
You can, okay.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean like this, like
physical copy.
CD. Oh, digital, right. Yeah. Oh, the digital, I know we can get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. See if I can find more stuff here. Okay. Geez, I'm finding things here that I feel bad that I should actually maybe make the effort to anyone who's on here can get a copy of, because what the heck? Look, what's going on here? I'm like, so here's a box.
Hopefully it's all going to a good home.
Yeah, I think
someone who can like you can ask for a scan of stuff if it's
right. So this is those are those duality cards I showed you a while back, and then here a whole bunch of the marathon "Don't Make Us Kick Your Ass" stickers, right? And then here's some other ones. I know these were all kind of just put in the 7th column. They were all kind of thrown in with their packages whenever you order something. Yeah. So this was my promotional stuff. I got my hand.
It looks like a baseball card collection.
Well, this I think is just that one card from the. This was again. I was at the launch of the Xbox. The cards are stuck, and so it was six. If you look there, it says 1 of 16, right? And it's kind of hard to show, but yeah, it's 1 of 16. Yeah. And so the idea was that you were supposed to walk around the Microsoft booth and collect all 16 cards. Yeah. And so the Bungie guys were stuck with this box, and it was the end of the show. And it's like, we don't want this. So I'm like, all right, I'll take it. Yeah. That's fine. And then I also have all these Myth stickers. Here are the Oni stickers that I kept. And yeah, like a whole stack of them. And I started doing a thing. This was when I started my page. If you can still look it up, bs.bungie.org, the Bungie sightings. And I would take these stickers, I'd ship them out to someone, and I tell them just plaster it around, put them somewhere, show your allegiance. So basically encouraging people to vandalize
It's like plaster. Like,
Yeah, just like plaster the stuff on the
environment.
Yeah. And so yeah, that was back when I was a little like ambitious. I got a PO box, which is a thing here in the States where you know can rent
Yeah.
like a mailbox. And
Are you getting rid of all of this stuff, or are you hanging on to anything? Like,
I'm hanging on to like a few things, but not a lot. The whole point of this is that I got 3 giant boxes, and I want to get rid of it so I can make space for the next 50 years of my life.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a little bit of like, I feel like I'm making space for new things, you know. Anyway, let me put this stuff away. But yeah, like this kind of stuff, I could keep a bunch. I'm sure that my friend who's getting this doesn't want all this, so I could see keeping a bunch and like handing it out. But I just thought it was interesting. Look, there's,
Yeah.
yeah. So that is that. I do feel bad about I feel bad for the duality. So I feel like there was a missed opportunity there. See, look, I have here. That's the double lock, and I'm gonna cover this. But that's Greg's.
Greg, yeah.
Yeah, that's Greg's business card. And I know the stories are that he's a teacher, and or I don't know, who knows what he's doing now. So here's the Oni disc.
So here we got Alex in the chat.
Yeah. What's that? So
for any music questions.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at that. What are folks asking? The video with the Oh, right, yeah. That was me and what was his name? What was his tag?
Was it Harry?
No, it wasn't Harry, but it was when we were hanging around. It's oh shoot, I'm gonna forget. But yeah, I was filming it and he did it. He ran and like put it on top.
We were involved in that.
Yeah, we were kind of just I think roaming the streets.
It's the E3 Fan Fest video,
right.
I think.
Yeah. Right. So here is I'm pretty sure this is a marketing disc.
Okay.
It's a shrink wrapped.
It says some mileage out of that art, I guess.
Yeah, it says they're launched 2001. So this, I think, is something they were handing out, most likely at E3, or I guess possibly also Macworld. And here's again the Halo. Now, so this is not the same picture. This is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And this is another promo. This is an E3 promo.
Oh, that's Halo PC. So that's
Yeah.
The fuel rod cannon was back in the game.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Here's another.
That's so nice.
Yeah, this is press the materials.
Okay,
So this is again unique to. It has all this. The CD's got all this sort of press stuff in it.
Yeah.
2000, and I guess it's just kind of talking about with the story, and just kind of going through it for marketing purposes. So I thought that was neat. Here's more of the samples of the stuff I was talking about. This is what you would get when you would order a something from Mac Warehouse. They would just throw, like you would get the AOL CD.
Yeah.
This would be also
discs.
Yeah.
You get them in the cover of like magazines all the time as well.
Right. So yeah, and look at it. It even had a little code: Mac OS 8 CD for free offer Bungie. So I guess they're like, and yeah, there's the Macintosh game CD. You can't even. I don't think you can even mount this on a modern. Because this is probably the old HFS.
Be the wrong file system.
Yeah, the old. You'd have to have a machine running Mac OS 8. Here's another Mac. This is Macworld 95 power computing, and so they were again. Look, there's the what character is that again? With the little robot.
Oh, the cyborg.
The cyborg.
Yeah.
Play 4 levels of Bungie's Marathon 2.
Pretty good demo.
Yeah.
Free to play.
Yep. Yeah, you were mentioning the Bungie points, I think.
Oh yeah, I have some of them as well.
Yeah.
Actually, I have this as well. You probably have a.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I have
Bungie
that
box.
somewhere too. and I one every now and then I'm like, one day I'm going to actually claim that, because it says like it's good forever,
valid forever or something.
Right. No expiration date.
Yeah.
So wait until there's something you want to say. Look, I got a couple of these. If you don't honor, how dare you? Yeah. So yeah, these were the Bungie points that again was their like attempt at and trying to get a little bit of a discount. I wonder what happens if you go to those addresses now. So
post the message there.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that will not be accepted on the current
Right.
iteration of the Bungie store, but maybe if you wrote in, they'd convert it to something.
Let's see if I can pull anything out of here. So this was when, so now here is, I mean, this is really getting, this is January 5th, 2001. And so we're getting ready for the Macworld Expo here in New York. And this is when we got, an arrangement to get a sound system and boom box and everything. And this was when Bungie finally, Max was, or Doug or Matt or whatever, they said, order the stuff and we'll pay you. And that's when it was like, okay, we bumped this up a notch beyond just simply fan. Before, and I have it here somewhere, it would be like, hey, I got a spot at a internet cafe. Let's all just get together. We'll pool our money, get some pizzas, and play Myth. And so now, but this was when things kind of were turning. I think I can tell stories about that in that Max and I guess Matt and Max, when we did the first one, they kind of showed up kind of tentatively. They were like, what is this all about? You're doing a thing where everyone's hanging out, like kind of didn't really, and they kind of looked around and saw like 15 of us and we're banging away on some PCs playing Myth, trying to make it work. And they were like, okay, that's kind of cool. And they kind of had a couple of freebies or whatever. And then the next time it rolls around, I make it a little bit bigger, a little bit more, it gets a bit more like ambitious. And they start to really kind of, you can tell things are starting to kind of grow, and they're starting to, okay, we got to start making things for this. And there was one of those early ones where not Jason, what am I saying? Oh my God, Joseph Stanton. He actually stood up and made a big speech after Halo was announced, and he kind of gave the whole summary of what this game is about. And I know there's a video of it somewhere. And he talked about the 10,000-mile ring, and he kind of and we were all playing Myth, and he started doing this, and we all stopped playing Myth and started looking at him, because he was kind of telling us like, this is the next game that's coming out, and you should this is what the storyline is about. And he did a great job of kind of in that one moment selling it, and it was really quite cool. Let me see if I have anything else here that's okay for public consumption. I got here a couple of, oh yeah, look at that. So yeah, this was, yeah, look, here it is. The like you were saying.
Yeah.
But this was because I had participated in one of the Phoenix, the 7 Phoenix Rising.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tournaments.
Yeah, Bungie's first official Myth 2 tournament.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. As you didn't follow, blah blah blah. So yeah, they're mentioning whoever won. Voodoo came out on top. Final games were played on a brand new multiplayer map called Phoenix Rising, available for download at Bungie.net downloads.
So that's like a tournament that had like in-game lore attached to it, because the idea behind it was at the end of Myth 2 in the epilogue, the narrator is talking to this Heron Guard, and he says, we're about to reinstate the septennial tournament to fill out our ranks. And, it ends with this line that makes me choke up even now. But it's like, be there. And then
Right.
they have this tournament. And it's supposed to be this Heron Guard initiation.
It's like getting the best of the best.
Yeah. So
of the
so I didn't know you went to that. You competed in that. But
I think this was online. So I just had to be. I don't think it was an in-person thing. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how that went. And let me see. There's another letter here. So let's see what else. Oh, so this was when they were. This is when, like you were saying, you had to sneak into E3.
Yeah.
And I had the
badge.
Yeah, I had the luxury of like getting Bungie to, like, just like you were saying when Max gave you a reference letter.
Yeah.
You know, like, this was Brian, Sketch Factor.
Yeah.
He said, listen, please, this is not some stranger wandering in out of the streets. He's actually a big, important, muckety muck. And they mailed that to me. And so back, that was so the story there, if anyone doesn't remember, is that E3, too many of the public were showing up. Yeah. And E3 was meant to be like a corporate event amongst the developers, and they didn't. So they were like, "Oh, you can't unless you're in the business." So yeah, it was like an industry event.
So this was my industry badge that got me into.
Oh, there you go.
E3, thanks to Signair, of which a couple of members are that. They probably have their own copies of these, but yeah.
Right, 2005.
Technical analyst.
We got the last laugh because E3 folded.
Yeah.
They couldn't keep it going. Let's see here if I can. That's a second here that maybe is worth showing. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah. So this is. I mean, again, not particularly fascinating, but this is, I think, my friend Douglas playing Myth 2, not at the Bungie booth, but at the ATI booth.
Oh yeah.
Because they were showing off their video cards. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Myth 2 that's being shown.
Is that World War II, or is it just Myth?
No, it's that. I think that's Myrmidon, or maybe I really can't tell, but yeah, they were. It was just like an interesting thing to see. How they were cross-pollinating across the game. So yeah, this is all 2003. This is here. I mean, this is all like wandering around the halls. They were showing off the concept art in Myth 2. So they had these.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Yeah.
They were hanging up on their wall, and they had the big giant trow.
Yeah.
Cut out. There's Soul Blighter.
Man himself.
Yeah, that was. I guess that's to scale.
There's the crits.
Yep. And yeah, so that was.
I wonder if any of that stuff exists anywhere still.
Yeah, and then this.
You didn't grab that loot.
Yeah, they had a 9. Or what is that? 4x3, a 12 screen setup.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a thing where it would. I think this was the old days where they just simply they couldn't do one image across. It was just kind of like a floating, different screens would just show different bits of video or whatever. I don't think the technology was there where they were actually showing the entire thing on one screen. Here's here's my brother with the "Don't Make Us Kick Your Ass" banner or flag. Yeah, I loved his work. Juan's stuff. Such a great artist. Okay, so there's that.
You have the Myth comic, right?
Yes. I
just had this, speaking of Juan's art,
right.
This is the back of the comic there.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
that the comic was great. Let me see if I can kind of find that stuff. Yeah. So you're getting back to the. Let's see here. How are you on time, by the way, James?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm making a mess here with all this stuff. So everything just gonna pile up here, and I'll take care of it later. So yeah, I got. This was a pullout
manual.
pull out in one of the magazines. It kind of was showcasing the game, and it turns into.
Yeah.
And again, I really thought this was such strong imagery. I really loved it. Yeah, I was talking about in that first stream I did that was a disaster, where that new movie trailer, 28 years, about the zombie apocalypse or something, that they kind of have that reminded me of this, the tone of the sort of like the, like when we're playing, it's just soldiers versus whatever, but here was like the absolute madness of fighting and trying to capture.
The helplessness of it all. Yeah, the kind of
it was really well done. I don't know who wrote this, but it was fantastic, and it followed the thing that Myth had, where it was like everything was like a date, a date in the time of the chronology of their battles or whatever, the campaign and so on. Very well done, and this was. I think I had this hanging up for a bit, but it was just, I had to put it back. It was so good.
Yeah.
That's that. Fold it. And then this was a similar one, kind of similar, in that it starts off. This was an actual poster, so it has. This is Myth 1, and so this is the one that folds out to the entire. So yeah, this was great.
That bridge shot, like that's kind of
bridge, right?
Probably a shared memory of everyone like first seeing that and going like, "Wow, I need this game."
Right. Yeah. Did you? So you were playing it on a Performa?
Yeah.
So you weren't. Were you able to have the luxury of a 3D card?
Oh no, it was all software rendering.
Right. That was one of the great. Like most of us, most of our playing was done by ourselves. Multiplayer, through the modem, but it was by ourselves. And then the tournaments started to pick up steam, and so you would meet at these shows, and then you would see these folks that were tremendous players, but they were playing at software resolution, and it would be the blocky. And I'm like, how are you knowing how your arrows are going to plink? And they just knew that, even though the resolution was horrible.
Well, it's higher performance, I guess, or
they just were used to it.
Yeah.
This was the comic that you were just talking about.
And there's more Juan there. I love how like this is. I mean, often you get comics that are tie-ins to games, but this one, every comic was by a Bungie artist who
right. Yeah, Robert's in here.
Yeah.
And the stuff is really good. I just remember being really
very evocative.
Well done.
The trowel stuff in particular is
it was really, I thought, such fertile ground there with that stuff. Let's see here.
It's funny. I don't know if you can hear me while you're off.
I can.
Camera, but this point about tournament players using software graphics, I think that's still an issue today. Like with the latest Myth updates, high resolution sprites, but a lot of the higher level players are just like, no, I'm used to the kind of standard stuff. I'm not upgrading until after Myth World Cup.
Yeah.
We're like, no, upgrade it. We need to promote this new stuff. And they're like, okay, maybe, but but I can't tell where the arrows are going to go with the new graphics.
I know, it's like this, but it's just, I guess, what they grew up on. Yeah. So here's the this was a promo from Microsoft. So it's showcasing every game in here, and of course there's Halo by itself. I mean, in the top corner there. But it was interesting how it was considered, part of the launch title.
Yeah.
All these other games that were coming later.
A crucial launch title.
Yes.
Which I don't know if that console would have survived.
I know. Not flippantly, but I would say you look at this. How many of these games does anyone know? I mean, except for maybe Fusion Frenzy, because it was a
There's
nice
a lot of
game.
like that's quite a kind of visceral classic era of games. So people who were there for the launch will remember all that Project Gotham Racing, like Oddworld and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely Halo.
I could swear that I heard the guys talking about Bloodwake.
Oh yeah.
So, and they said something about how, oh yeah, like we were watching a demo of it, of like, you know, the like the boat going through the water, and I guess there would be explosion or something, and one of the, and I don't know if he was teasing me or whatever, but he said like, you know, that whole wave ripple thing, they got that from us. Like they, like the code, like if I likened it to when the Molotov cocktail lands and explodes and the way the thing rippled. And they said, yeah, we let them have, or they needed help with that or something. And
that does ring a bell. I might just be interesting.
So there's this I just snagged. This shows you at one of the fests. This was their list of like, oh yeah, this is what we got to bring for one of the tournaments or something. So they had 10 total Codex boxes, 18 action sacks.
Only 800 Bungie points.
800 Bungie points.
They must be pretty valuable then if they only bought 800.
Yeah, 10 Infinities. It said, look, it says there 10 Myth comics.
Yeah.
Myth posters, Oni door posters, T-shirts, 2 medals and 2 frame prints. So those were like the grand prizes. So
I think we got a Myth comic sent to us by Jim Ruiz as a. I think I tried to order the Myth soundtrack to Hong Kong because that's where I was living at the time, and it kind of got lost in the post. And we wrote in and we said, "Hey, we never got this." And he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." So he sent it another one, and he put the Myth comic in as a kind of freebie.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, there's another kind of memory of you know, Bungie stuff going the extra mile.
Yeah, going like they realize that, you know, they're trying to fulfill their end of things there for sure. So this was the announcement that I wrote up for FanFest 4. And so this was 2001 January. So this was the big, one of the big announces was over there in San Francisco. And it says, you know, bring your own desktop, laptop. We supply via LAN. Pizza and soda will be served. I forget who the mystery guest was. Could have been Steve Downs, possibly, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, that was a.
You organized that FanFest?
Yeah, I did them all the way up to I think 6, and then at that point, it became like a Microsoft endeavor. You know, they were all their resources like into it.
Yeah, with your blessing, or was it just kind of like it's ours now?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it was. I was very happy to not have to sit there and pony up money, stuff, and not, you know, try to get reimbursed or whatever. Certainly, you know, when there was that middle ground when we were getting invited into the Bungie. Take care, Mev. It's great seeing you.
See you, Lorraine. Thanks for dropping by.
Oh, there's Owen. Owen, good to see you, buddy. Owen was my first boss over at Scholastic, and he knows what I'm talking about when I talk about Mac Warehouse, because we would get all those magazines and stuff. Right. Anyway, what was I talking about?
The FanFest.
Right. So there was that moment when there was a bit more like interaction there, and I was like, yeah, this is it's amazing the amount of the possibilities. Like we were actually able to, instead of us looking for a rental space, they're like, no, come to our booth space after hours. So it's like, well, of course, that's perfect. It's already got everything. There's already LAN play. Everything's there. Maybe we can't play the old games, but everyone just wanted to do Halo anyway. So, and it was just perfect. So that got rid of all sorts of headaches in terms of that. So yeah, so I was very happy when that stuff all moved on. This I thought was ooh, I gotta put back on the thing here. This I thought was
Stubbs, yeah.
Stubbs, yeah. So this is the ship. Now the game's not in it, but yeah, this was what came in the mail for Stubbs. The one game made with the Halo engine.
I forgot that was the Halo engine game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So I have
Myth engine originally.
yeah, right. The Myth engine, exactly right. So this was, I'm going to cover up all these, but this was like, this is what I would do is I would have sheets out there. Anyone who came, they had to sign, and then I would try to collect these signatures and like say, okay, let's keep you guys posted for the next thing or whatever. So I was really trying, and I mean, look, this is like, here's like 4 pages worth. That's just one of the things. So we were getting a nice chunk of folks coming to these events. It was really great to see the fans. You know, I made quite a few friends there.
Yeah, I remember just hearing about these events, and I was in the UK. Oh, well, I still am, but like,
yeah,
I was just sort of thinking I'm never going to make it over there, never going to go to these events, like never play online with these people, even because Xbox, you know.
Right.
But then, yeah, I sort of set it as a goal to be like, no, I'm going to go over and attend one of these one day, and
right,
it happened. But it was just like that desire to be a part of something that was happening was very, very strong.
Right. And it's, I wonder now, I mean, I think online kind of destroyed the idea of in person in some ways. So there's no real need for an in person, but I think you could very easily, if let's say Halo, maybe the early days, like you're saying in Halo, probably could have done a UK gathering of sorts.
There was stuff going on, I think, but I think I was still at school, basically.
Right.
So
yeah.
I wasn't really in a position to organize it or even like attend,
participate.
Yeah.
This is 2006. This is Frank sending a letter saying, "Hey, let this schlub come in, to the to the event. He's okay. He's not going to stab anyone. This is nothing here. Some things I can't show. They're like a little too personal. Here's the launch. The launch party
for Xbox.
Yeah, for Xbox.
Yeah.
so wild.
You kept everything, didn't you?
Anything that crossed my thing, I'm like, oh, let's throw it in the box. And then I don't know why I kept this. I think, let's see here. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why I have this next generation thing, but maybe there's something in here with Bungie, but I just don't know it. There's just this next gen. I mean, some of these things overlap into my Dreamcast days. So I kept some things for that, but I thought this was mainly just Bungie stuff, but who knows? Anyway, so there's that. Still getting to some other stuff here. Let's see if I can find.
I have a few of those old like magazines as well, but I don't know where they came from because I don't really remember buying this stuff. I just have like one-offs, but like
you just got your hands on them.
Like,
oh, look at that! I don't have that. Wow, that's a nice one.
I think that's so there's a whole feature on it. It's like find out why Oni will be better than Tomb Raider. That was the whole comparison at the time,
right?
And then I have this one from like '96. And I think it's only just got like a Weekend Warrior reference in it. There's a couple of screenshots from that, but I don't know why I have it. It's just very, very niche.
Yeah. So here I won't even bother switching to the thing. Here's one of the E3 2006 pass, and they just put the fight sticker over it. Oh, there we go. Knockabout. So look at that. Weekend Warrior.
It has some info on how Bungie. It was presented by Bungie, but
I wonder how that would run now. I mean, it should be like liquid smooth now, those games, because I remember back then the whole thing was that it was really 3D struggling to.
I think if you can get them to run, because it's the executables probably won't run on modern OSs.
So here's a Bungie Net lanyard. I think that's back. So this was what they would have around their necks at the shows. I got my hands on that, and these were, so when I was doing the when I was doing the events, these were the things that I created. Actually, Frida, my wife, created. Frida she always put up with my nonsense.
Is that your Myth clan tag there?
Yeah. So
Nice.
this was the idea that, we would have our badges for the fan fests.
Yeah.
And this was the, I would make, so the one is Halo, one is Oni, one would be Myth, one would be Marathon. And I think I showed this also. I have here at some point, I have here like the, I guess the last business card of Matt Sell.
Well, that's Matt's card. Okay.
Yeah, that's Matt's card here.
Nice.
There's the gorilla.
Yeah.
It's not in focus. But
I didn't see you had one of these stickers. I saw you.
Yeah, there's somewhere in there. Yeah, those are always cool. The webmaster. So that's that. Let's see what else I got. Oh, I went through all this. Yeah, so this came in the mail. It took me a while to remember what this was. But so this is the Halo 2 Media Toolkit, and it actually surprised me. So this is press materials for the Halo 2. But what I discovered is that it suddenly dawned on me, this was something that I was asked to participate in. And there we are.
Look at those three unlikely lads.
Look at there. Claude.
Yeah.
The
Trifecta.
and it was fun. They kind of just asked me a couple of questions, and but it was just kind of, again, showing off look at this community. And and that is something I didn't really that I would kind of say now, is that kind of when you were saying, like, when Bungie took over, that was also the tipping point when online became the thing. So we were invited to some of the Halo. I mean, Claude lived there, so he was invited more. But me being invited, it didn't have the same importance of inviting a bunch of YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the folks who were catching eyeballs. Mm-hmm. Hamish, me, and a few others. I mean, again, not to put myself in that level, but still, we were just simply fans who would do some pictures and blog posts and whatever. These were folks who were streaming, and they had captured, they had proven metrics, let's call it. Yeah. You could say, if I can get these 10 people in here, that I'm capturing eyeballs of whatever, million people or whatever. So that's when I noticed that unless I was willing to adapt to that way of doing things, my importance wasn't as needed. It wasn't necessary.
Yeah, it was a different kind of world, I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't really know when that kind of kicked off.
Yeah, I remember being in these, doing these Halo, gameplay things, and I'd be looking at these guys, and I'm like, and they're like younger, first of all, and I'm like, so what part of thing? And like, says, no, I just love Xbox games, and Halo's the shit, man, and I want to play, and blah 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 blah, which was great. I mean, it's of course fine, but it was definitely like, oh yeah, I see now. We're hitting a different audience now. These are the consolers. These are the, they got the youth and all that, and so then it was just like I could see why it was just not going to work unless I was able to prove to myself in some way. Let's see. I want to find this one thing that I hope mix is a big deal here, but I'm not finding it. These are all my Halo 2 things. I think I did a thing here.
This is the extent of my kind of Halo 2.
Oh yeah, there you go. I don't have that.
China, like
that's nice. Yeah, I definitely don't have that.
I think I saw you.
Yeah, so yeah, I have a few of those.
And then this wacky thing.
Oh yeah. Yes, right. So I have the other one, the bigger one that does that.
Kubrick, Halo 2 Kubrick, Halo 2 Japan thing. I don't know where that even came from.
Here's mine. It's like a bigger one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat.
Some cross
This
promo thing.
on the back, it's EB Games. I don't know if that's
okay. Yeah.
what
No,
yours
this
is.
It's Halo 2 Japan.
Oh, I see. I see. Wow.
But I don't know where I got it.
No, now remind me, you were living in Japan for a while, weren't you?
I grew up in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I know I haven't been back in years. So it may have been there, but I don't know, because that was sort of the closest we got to like Japan was the territory that you'd market stuff in.
Right.
But I don't know. This is just a strange thing that has no real origin story that I remember.
This was a commentary on the seismic shift of things. This is when Bungie got bought out by Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
and the tremors that this thing generated is it's funny to think back on it now. But this guy's whole, I mean, I have no idea who it is or if he's still involved or whatever, but it was really like, oh, this is a slap in the face to, we are losing an iconic Mac gaming company and blah, 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 And
Yeah.
then you look at the blurb there. Han Solo has joined the Empire.
That was definitely a big narrative.
It was quite amazing. And I remember Matt and Max called me and Claude because I think this was like maybe a week before the event, before they announced. And he said, so what do you think if we told you this was going to happen? Mm-hmm. And we were like, wow. But I think we were mature enough to say, well, shit, if it means you can go for the grab for the ring,
it's good for the games.
Yeah, it's good for I'm fine with it. I kind of was already platform neutral in the sense that I'll go wherever the good game is, I'll go.
Wasn't the Xbox itself like a Power PC machine that
that's right? Yeah,
on Macs.
Yeah, I think that was a big point in that it could be a doable thing. Sorry that took you 20 years for the grudge to wear off. They did come up with a Mac port like about a year or two later, but I know
I never got that to run very well on.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
It was kind of, I think in a way that was the nail in the coffin for me, trying to think I would ever be able to play games on a Mac. It's like, well, I can't even run Halo like years after it came out on this relatively powerful laptop. I just gotta get a PC. It's time.
Yeah, I just switched to. I mean, again, my history is I grew up on those early consoles. It wasn't a strange thing for me, especially when you talk about like the Atari 400 or the Commodore or any of those. I mean, those were certainly wasn't using it for any serious. I mean, I was just a kid, so there was nothing. Those were all quote unquote consoles for me. So
yeah.
So here's one of the. This is the 2011 Fan Fest.
So they just call it Halo Fest at this point.
The Halo Fest, that's right. That was called the Halo Fest. And this was a thing that they were doing for a little bit. Carabiner.
Oh, yeah.
With Bungie Net on it.
Yeah. So, the standard Chinese branded item.
Yes, right. Now that's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah. How much percentage are we on now on tariffs? Yeah, I mean the interesting thing about that Microsoft acquisition is, I guess, my understanding of it is that Bungie was not in a great place financially at that point.
Right.
Obviously, it was going to be a Mac game, but like they basically just needed someone to rescue them.
They needed like, I think it was a double. I think they saw both sides of it. They were going to get an infusion of financial stability.
Yeah.
And they had a chance.
Excited by the platform and being a launch partner on it, and that was a big deal, I think. But I think it's definitely kind of colored by the. I mean, I don't know the financial itself, and I haven't really spoken to any first-hand sources on it. But I felt like obviously the Myth 2 uninstall bug recall situation was a blow to them, and then there was this Take-Two deal and stuff, and it was almost like, we need rescuing, and Microsoft came in and obviously had the right offer, but I feel like they probably got a good deal on them,
right,
as a result of that.
Well, I have to, if I can find the damn thing, I do have a story about that. But I'm switching to apparel.
Oh yeah.
So here's the Bungie Net hats, the 7th column hat, right? That's the 7th column.
That's the 7th column, yeah.
Icon.
I
Here's
lost my beanie hat, one of those. Yeah.
Here's an old Bungie cap. So
Yeah,
there's
one.
There's the Carnage.
Yeah.
Icon there. And then this I just, because it's all kind of the same. Here's a Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
And then this actually isn't as old as you would think, because I think this was put out just a few years ago by Bungie as like
I saw that
20th year or 30th year or something.
Yeah, it's like a marathon.
Yeah, it's like a retro
fan created thing. Yeah,
yeah,
that looked really nice.
And it does have a little writing on the back. I'll just show that for austerity's sake. There, I think it does talk. Yeah, 25th anniversary. So yeah, that was what that shirt was. And kudos for you for staying on the text there, on the chat.
Wow.
So and then you'd mentioned this.
Yeah.
I still have my wide load.
Mine wasn't particularly large. I think it was just too big for me, and I just.
Right. I just loved that that had a lot of matte influence. And then this is just to show my bona fides when I mentioned our myth group.
Yeah.
So this is us, Clan Plaid. This is the shirt we made. So we're ready for another shirt for like 30 years. We're getting there. But yeah, we've been around a long time. Bunch of old farts. I can't believe I can't find this one. It has to be here somewhere. I just am not finding it.
This is probably my favorite piece of apparel from the Bungie community that I still wear sometimes, but I try and be careful with it now. But
let's see. Oh yeah, I have that too. Mine's all sweat stained and
crumpled in a drawer. I just dug it out.
There we go.
World domination tool.
There we go. Yep. That was a great. That was Ian
McConville.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's still around. No, he was doing Mac Hall.
Mac Hall. Yeah, that was his comic.
Yeah. With
he did some marathon mods as well. I think Marathon Red maybe was.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great artist.
Right. And friendly. He was the other judge on the Pillar of Art. He was very helpful.
Okay, yeah.
In that. Here is a shrink wrapped Halo.
Is that the calendar? Yeah.
The calendar. Still in its packaging. And I had one that's open, and then here's a different one. This is 2005. I didn't even know that was 2004. This is 2005. So again, never opened it, but you can see the pictures in it. Too bad that Mev left. She probably have a story. There at least is that's her piece right there. Yeah. She might have made a couple of these. Yeah, but those are that.
I do also have this plastic piece of.
Oh yes, right.
Apparel,
which is
Tyson Green.
Right. Yeah.
Which appears in Mission.
Yeah.
Or whichever one.
Let's see if I can
wear that much. Not my style. I haven't taken up fishing as a hobby yet in my old age. But yeah, I think I tend, if I have any stuff like that, I try not to use it anymore.
Yeah, no, I'd be like that. I'm that guy that would buy 2 copies.
Yeah,
and just open one and keep the other one away. So here is, I think this is the first one. This is the first Fan Fest. So this was the one that I arranged at an internet cafe.
Oh yeah.
Right around the corner in Moscone Center in San Francisco.
Did you make videos of all these Fan Fests?
Well, was kind of like the MC, so I was too busy kind of running it. And I did take pictures, and there are pictures. If you do visit bs.bungie.org, even though the site's been mothballed, you can go back to see the reports I did. I mean, that's kind of also, I did put that in there. That was my thing about troublemakers. This is all me. This is not Bungie. This is like, you know, you're gonna get kicked out if you're being an asshole.
Make us kick your ass.
I knew enough about running these things. I wasn't just gonna make it, you know, free for all. But what was I getting at? Is that I forgot my train of thought there. But
you said you were emceeing it, so you couldn't really.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that you know, the website had a bunch. Oh, right. That was my. So before even the fan fests, when I was telling you my story being a, did I ever need to boot? No, I'll tell you the stories of. I mean, we are talking about the early days of fandom. I'll put something more interesting. Yeah, I'll put that there, so it's not, you're just not staring at papers. What would happen is that, and James, maybe you were on one end of this. There would be kids.
Never kicked me out.
No, but I mean, there were kids showing up.
Yeah.
And parents would be like, my son saw this flyer, and what is going on here? And I'd be like, and I'm in my 20s or early 30s maybe, and then I'm realizing I'm not going to be responsible for your kid here. And it'd be like, well, and I try. So the first thing is that you try to smooth it over and say, yeah, we're not pedos here. This is above board. We're going to have pizza and whatever. Sometimes the mothers would just hang out in the back, and they'd be, you know, this is before phones. So they would have to just sit there and kind of just drum their fingers for the 2-3 hours while the kids are like playing. And it was just an interesting take. Some folks would show up, and they would be like, who are, you know, are you official? Are you who? And I'd be like, no, I'm not. I'm just a fan, just like your son or you or whatever. But please come hang out or whatever. But if you're leaving your kid here, you're responsible. I'm not responsible, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think we ever got into actual, I think it was too chaotic for ever to there be a focus to where there could be a problem where, you know, it never got to the point where folks were actually competing on some game and so, oh, you're too many rocket launchers and, you know, getting into a big that never happened. But I don't think we ever actually had to boot someone, at least not in these fan fests. I did do some gatherings where I had to finish the gathering because one guy, just like I said, some guy was upset because some other guy did something that he thought was, you know, camping or whatever, and I'm like, forget it. I'm not in here to set up, you know, this is not what this is about. And I'd be like, let's just cut this and forget it. I'm going to kick you out and you out. And these were people who were quote unquote friends or associates or whatever, you know, people that I kind of knew. But the game would bring out like you know, it would get nasty. But anyway, so see if I show you here the stuff. So I have some things that are more famous for their history in Bungie fandom. Here's the original Warthog Jump movies. If you were a fan back then, this was what Randy sent me, and he said, this is a thing I worked on for a long time, and you get to show. This was what I was bringing to the Fan Fest. I would say, send me stuff you want showcased, and this was when we showed that off. I'm just jumping around here, but here's Myth 3, just promo cards, postcards. You know, I guess if someone wanted to send a postcard, they could. Here's I think this is the demo for Myth 2.
There's that
again with that really cool, so with really cool art. Yeah, so this was mailed to me. So this was like this. Here's the game coming out. So this must have been, you know, right before it was actually shipped, the actual game.
Yeah.
Here's the Total Codex box. Another so this, I think, yeah. So here's I thought, oh yeah, what is this? And this actually is the Oni Alpha.
6.
Yeah, in 2000. Yep, Oni Alpha CD. I worked on a couple of the alphas, and I don't know how much beta testing you've done. I imagine you've done a lot.
Not so much of the games,
Right.
Actually,
I found it very. It was a little bit befuddling because they ship this, and then it'd be like, well, okay, here's my, and then they kind of ignore half of what you write, and then just, yeah, we've already. I don't know. It felt like it was kind of like they already knew what was a problem that they had to focus on, but they still had to send out the CDs anyway.
Yeah.
I think it would be maybe early on. If someone really found like a drop dead bug, something that was destroy the game, then they would focus on that. But it didn't really feel like you were doing much other than just, put a bunch of monkeys in a garage and just bang on it to see what happens. So
do you have images of those CDs that you were hanging on to? Or?
No, I should make those images. I know folks have wondered about the Oni Alphas. I have a couple of them. Oh, that's interesting. Iron Demon Mech in it.
Yeah.
Let me finally show. So this is what you were talking about. Here are the books.
Oh yeah.
Well, notepads. But I had the battle rifle and the SMG.
Dual wielding. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, a nice little. I think it was just hanging there, and it's like, oh, can I take that? Like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Yeah. So this was one of the. So this was back when you would shop, when you would pick up something at the store. This was
products.
Yeah. When you would walk out of the expo, you get a Bungie bag with their stuff, and this is the Mac. This is the championship entries. Those things that I won the award for. So this is like as we were climbing up the ladder there. I don't even know who my teammate was. I forgot. But here's like a receipt from the show, and it shows there the Evolution of Bob T-shirt. So I had that at some point, but I don't have it anymore. And then there's the Kick-Ass T-shirt.
Yeah. So
those are long gone. Unless I do have like a bag somewhere of like ancient T-shirts. I could probably be there, but I don't know. I don't know what this is. I'm looking at stuff that I'm like, do I really want to show this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this was my attempt at one of the fan fests. Like, okay, how are we going to rearrange this cafe into Mac and PC? And so we're going to have, the PC. So I think I would say we need one PC install disk and go, put it on this machine, that machine. And these, I mean, again, you got to think these machines were probably like half an hour to install.
Yeah.
You run the installer and you'd have to walk away. And then it was so again, when you mentioned Bungie taking over, like, oh, please go right ahead.
Yeah.
Give us machines.
Take the admin away from me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is nothing.
That drawing that you just showed sort of reminds me of this drawing that I did, which was, I don't know if you recognize what this is, but I drew this map.
Which map is that? Let's see.
Well, hang on, let me get it.
Let's see if we can get. Is it a multiplayer map or is it a?
Nope.
No. Is this the Halo? Is this the demo? Where you're riding the Warthog?
This is the E3 announce video of Halo 2 level. Right. It was never a level that you could play.
But there was the Warthog, and you would
crash, and then you escape and everything. And it's
the Brute,
the new Mombasa,
right? The Brute jumps on and punches you. And
well, it was like almost a cinematic, and it starts with these snipers on the bridge.
Right.
And I just watched that video in freeze frame at a time, trying to reconstruct this map. And the funny thing is that it doesn't connect to anything.
Yeah, right. I remember it was like if you look
back on itself.
Yeah.
And you sort of like exit off here, but it's like
right.
They kind of go all the way like around here.
Right.
And like the drama of the demo is like blinding, so you don't know what
Yeah,
to
yeah. It's like
this was the kind of everyone was trying to get as much information as they could out of every single pixel that was
right.
published.
But it's like the Seinfeld set where like the kitchen that makes no sense where it is. It'd be in the hallway.
Yeah.
If you actually were.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So here are all those stickers that we were just talking about. So there's the fight stickers, Halo 2 stickers, 7 column stickers. There should be some. Yeah, you know, I'm not seeing the webmaster stickers.
I think these are the two that I have that I haven't seen on your screen. So
yeah,
you probably have them somewhere.
UESC.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here. I guess it's the one I have.
Oh, you have that.
Yeah.
Do you have the Carnage one?
And I have the ninjas. Do I have the what?
This Carnage one.
Oh yeah, I was just holding on.
Oh, you got that.
Right. There we go.
Damn it. It was my one chance to one up you, but no, you got the same packet I did.
Here's the Reach launch.
Oh yeah.
All over, you know, in major cities. So this was at Best Buy in New York City. So this was Halo Reach. It was the wristband you had to wear in order to make it in there. Here's the vote postcard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this was in November.
Is that Halo 4? Okay.
November 6th. So that was what was getting handed out then. Here's another event, Halo 2 November 9th announce, or rather the launch. And there's the Toys R Us, Times Square, Halo 2. This is the thing that if you see video of me, that's where I dragged an Xbox to. I was like outside, and I asked them, "Can you run an extension cord from inside the Toys R Us outside?" And I brought a little projector screen and a blank and a sheet, and so we made it onto the news, like a snippet of the news or something, because they showed us 4 of us playing multiplayer on the street there.
Yeah.
So here's the Halo 5 launch card. And then here is the Destiny community event. So I think this was the one when they were showing it off when Claude and I went. And that's when I saw that they were like, you know, we were like the old farts in one corner and all the young YouTubers were in there doing their thing.
And that's when you thought it's over.
Yeah, I was like, okay, there's no way, you know, I can keep up.
Pass on the baton.
Yes. And then so here's some legendary tattoos.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, the peel and the wet and stick, I guess. Yeah. And here's Randall Glass's Warthog Jump business card.
That's very cool.
I don't even know if that domain works anymore, but that's what he was. He's still over there in Seattle, as far as I know. I think working in programming in some capacity. Okay, so I think that's it in terms of I can't believe I misplaced that one. I must have put it away somewhere, and I just don't know where it is. But I think I'll just talk about it. I think I'm actually kind of done, believe it or not.
Do you have? Do you know what this is?
Let's see.
You probably have one of these. It's kind of an internal thing that was for Bungie employees to kind of say we're releasing these action figures.
Oh no, yeah, and I do. What's on the other side? Is it
the other side is more interesting to me actually. It's
look at that
pentathlon internal.
Oh, look at that, the pentathlon
thing. I don't know. It's a shame that I folded it, but
no, definitely, I've never seen those. And
again, I don't really know where this came from, but it might have just been, you know, accompanied this guy because that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The release of these figures. I mean, Lorraine would obviously be able to tell us more if she was still here, but yeah, this Phil. I was trying to pose him into interesting ways, but it's limited.
Sure, yeah. The amount of flex those limbs was not a lot.
Degrees of freedom somewhat limited.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Maybe this is it. Okay, yeah, I think I did find it. Okay, yeah. So I did give away all my books, and I really did have all the Halo books, but I kept just two of them and one special one, and maybe Joseph will get a kick out of it. But here's the Flood, and here's First Strike. So those were, to me, the ones that kind of followed the game the best, kind of were in the game, right? But then I also kept this one. And James, I don't know if you've read the books.
I have this one in the Flood.
Reach, right? Yeah, that's the other one,
I guess.
Yeah. So did you read the books?
I read the Full Reach, and I think I read the Flood.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So this book, the reason I keep this, first of all, this is the only book that Joseph wrote, and it's also the only book, as far as I know, unless someone corrects me, that actually has a sex scene.
Okay. With
Sarge and some woman, and it's
some Covenant elite.
And no, it's at the end. And oh, look at that! Wait, can you hold up some? They're asking you to hold up the Fall of Reach.
All right.
Copy.
It's unfortunately it's ripped.
Oh, Lorraine's back. Did you want to see the? Oh, that's a 2001 first print. Curiosity if it has the Xbox logo on it.
Hasn't got the logo on it. Oh yeah, no, it does at the back.
Oh yeah, there it is. But so again, the reason, and now that Mev's back, I don't know if Mev, if you read these books, but this is the one book that had a sex scene with Sarge and some woman, like another military person or whatever. And because Joseph wrote it, I just thought it was so it actually was a really good story. I forget those characters, those little silent floaty guys. Oh look, there it is, first edition, 2001. 2001. Let's see what mine.
Not the first printing though. I think it's like 10.
But that must also mean that there's a first print hardcover.
Maybe.
That's usually how it goes, right? There would be a hardcover really first.
You don't have the Full of Reach copy?
I may have it somewhere. These are the ones that I collected like right now. But anyway, just to talk about the fact that Sarge just has great sex with some woman, and it was done it wasn't corny, it wasn't terrible, and it was well done. And I thought, Joseph, you pulled it off, man. You made it happen. So yeah, this is some of the Halo. Everyone's talked about this thing. Like apparently it was like the best headset that was available. That's what, that I didn't know, but I mean, I do know this is worth a pretty penny if he decided to sell it. So here is, let's see here. This is the box of stuff that I did want to show. So here's Halo the movie, which is actually Black Star. Yeah. He compiled a bunch of movies, I think. I don't think this was his work. I think he just compiled stuff. I'm pretty sure. But because of his attention to detail, it looks like an official DVD. It's like got, a fake ISBN and everything. So here's the PlayStation 2 Oni. Actually, I picked that up. Let's see what else I got here. And then here's Halo 2. Here's this was like my multiplayer. This was like my LAN kit. I would just take the CDs out and just throw them into these things, and then we throw them into my bag, and away we go to Claude or to some thing, and and that's how we would set up our games. We would just have these just throw the CD in, and away you go. Throw the console in another box. So there's my PS4 Destiny shrink wrapped. Never took it out of that one.
I never played Destiny.
You never played the original?
Because it came out after I decided never to buy a console game ever again.
Okay.
But yeah.
But did you play it on Steam when it finally came out?
Well, it's not out on Steam, but they've obviously built a lot of that stuff into Destiny 2 now.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. Destiny 2 is okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I never played it.
Here's the Reach. Here's Halo 3 Essentials. I think this has the documentary that I'm featured in. Not featured, but I'm in. ODST, another that was a really kind of a unique game of its own. I see Brian is okay, cool, yeah. So let's see here. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna jump straight over to this. This is kind of a big deal. So this is a mailing that came, and when you were talking about Bungie and their situation, so this is the patch disc of Myth 2, and that is, here is the letter that they sent out, and it's the big thing about, like, this is we're sorry, we apologize, but, and I like, he says, it contained a problem that disabled the PC uninstaller. That's not what the bug is. The bug is that it would destroy your PC.
It would delete the entire folder that it was installed in.
Right.
And your root C drive.
If you installed it in the root, then that would be the end of your thing. But so he says, here's the option to use this disk, or maybe you downloaded the patch, blah blah blah, and it says you said throw away the other CD.
Throw it away.
Yeah. So but my point is, when I brought this out, my thing was writing about how, again, going back to these guys, to the company, not just guys, everyone in there, how they were like they were good. I remember being, so the story is that I was at one of the Mac Worlds, and I remember someone handing to Alex something, and he looked at, so we were, we're milling around there, whatever. We're like, hey Alex, what's going on, whatever. We're kind of chatting, and then someone from Bungie hands him something. Look, Alex, here, you got to sign this. And he says, oh, it's that thing. And so we didn't know about the bug. We weren't aware of anything. But I could tell his demeanor was like, okay, I got to sign it. And he didn't tell us. He wasn't going to say, yeah, here I am, I'm signing, an $800,000 recall, whatever it was. But I remember him saying, yeah, well, it's something we had to do. And then later on, when I got this, I put 2 and 2 together. Oh, that was when, I guess maybe it was the order to do another run of new CDs or something that they would have to pay out of pocket. Oh, look, Brian, did we show our Halo PC beta test discs?
I wasn't in the Halo PC beta test. I was not invited.
I was, and I don't know what happened.
Lettuce, was it?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to those discs.
Kermit?
Maybe have it somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, so that was a big thing, and that's why I wanted to. And maybe as a way to start to wrap this up, it's interesting how now Marty, Alex, they have their podcasts, and they're talking about. They're like, I don't know if you know, Alex just had Joseph Stain on like a day or two ago.
Okay, yeah.
On the fourth curtain. So they're willing to revisit and kind of discuss a lot of that stuff, although from their point of view. And I think it's really, I'm really glad that they're doing that, because it's a nice bit of history that they're touching on there. So these are just, when you mentioned betas, I mean, again, it's just all that I have are just betas of like some of these popular, DVDs, Warthog Jump, from some of the contests we did. We did the Maw 700. That was a special run through. So this is a big deal. This is a signed, burned Oni soundtrack from Marty.
Lovely.
That's his signature right there.
Yeah.
He burned that for, I guess, for me, maybe. Oh, this is what I thought was so funny. He used the Weekend Warrior.
the case.
The case. Just ripped out the week, and then here. I'm sure
I've never seen that game in action. Like, I have no idea what it even is.
I've just seen a video of it. Just that's like there was a time when there were games that were being. I'm not saying that's what this game was, but there was a time when games were being made in Macromedia Director. I don't know if you even remember that. It was like a turbocharged hypercard.
Mm-hmm.
It had a timeline, and you could create these actions. So it had a very kind of like,
yeah.
If you ever played Myst, which was originally
Hypercard
Macromedia Director game, way back. That's how it was back then.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, so here's another demo, and you can see there's Oni. So I'm sure this triggers Mev. Because her whole thing that she rightfully points out is how they ultra sexed up Konoko against what she thought was appropriate. And so here it is on God Games. And God Games, they were known for, in their expos, they would just hire all these scantily clad women just to mill around and attract folks. So, but yeah, there's the what's included. So there's pin-up girls, all this up, and Oni.
Yeah, how are we going to sell that?
So, and then I think I showed this on the thumbnail. Here's from Mac Addict, the Myth 2 game disc, or the demo disc. And another handwritten note from Marty. He's like, "Hey, didn't you have a DVD of the movies?" And I was like, "That actually wasn't me. I don't know, whatever." But yeah, this is an actual Bungie product. This was them collecting all their promotional videos.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and I read about it. It had one of those codes. I don't know if it exists in the wiki. It says ANABJP. So I don't know what that acronym.
BJP.
ANABJP. So it says there. So hey, we hope you like this DVD collection, and then ANABJP. So,
another new awesome Bungie journey production.
Junk product, junkie
product,
yeah. Junket product, right? Because this would be a press.
Yeah.
Who knows? And then I guess the final thing I have here is the Halo, what we were just saying, the Halo Mac box.
Yeah.
Here it is, the Halo Mac box. I don't even know. There you go. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there it is.
Again, like size difference. From this.
Right. Yes. Right. Save the trees.
In fact, I keep it inside.
There you go. One follows up the other. Yeah.
Your Myth 3 box actually is quite small, but I've got a larger one, which may be the Mac one.
The Myth 3?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, and it has a fold out?
I got a fold out version.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see something here. Oh, no, that's not it. No, here it is. Yeah, I did find. I didn't pull out the same one. Right. Yeah. Right, the same exact.
I miss manuals, man.
Yeah, I know. I'd really
just be reading the manual.
So the thing about the marathon and the again, to give folks some that's the correct. Wait, what's Mev saying? The Halo Mac box has the correct cover.
Oh, the correct folder. Let me just take it out of my Myth box.
I wonder what you mean by that.
I think she was saying that the PC one was wrong.
You mean like the visuals?
Or no, the strategy guide is wrong.
Oh, okay.
So one of these is wrong, maybe?
Oh, okay.
This is correct.
Okay.
I don't know. Can't tell the difference.
Well, if only she would let me get her on here.
Maybe it was your version of the strategy guide. It was.
Oh, the hand is messed up. See, now if we can all look at it. So this is not an AI hand.
Yeah. So there's detail on the the hand there.
Right.
It seems to be missing.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
Is that it?
Okay. Sure.
And the muzzle. Okay.
Wow.
It's like a spot the difference. Yeah, there's you
Right.
can see rifling on that muzzle,
Yeah.
but it's missing from this
Oh,
one.
that's a good thing to remind me to bring this out as I go all the way back here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. This is not real.
Can't hurt you. Oh wow, man. I think I remember this.
Yeah, this is Pillar of Art.
Yeah.
So this is
Maeve saying she can
Mev
join in
wants
the
to
chat.
join. Okay, Mev. How do I get you the? Can you if you message me on Facebook, I can send you the link. I'm pretty sure. So let's see. Invite. Copy. I hopefully should be able to do this, but yeah, this was. And this was done. I forget his name. Is a nice guy, but this is all. I mean, it's kind of falling apart now, but yeah. And we actually brought this to one of the land fests, and folks were like, and I brought it to a Red versus Blue gather. They're like one of their first gatherings over in Lincoln Center, and people were like, "How did you take that on the subway?" Because I mean, it looks pretty frightening if you're not aware that it's a prop.
Yeah, well,
yeah, it was a different time back then. Let's see if I can make this happen. Yeah, if you message me. We're going to actually have to take a pause, James. I don't know if you want to.
I can fill.
If you can fill in.
If you need me to. Okay. Was Damage Incorporated one of those games that was on the Marathon engine? Do you remember?
I think so. You can still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Damage Incorporated. Right.
Software for your Macintosh. It's got Damage Incorporated. There were a couple though. I don't know. Rise of the Prime Target. Is that one? Maybe I'll put my other screen up as well. I can.
Yeah. You can go ahead and put on. Yeah, you had your own stuff. That's right. Okay. So let me.
How do I? Here we go. Drag that. It's not working. Professionals. Promote. There we go. Yeah, I had a little setup here earlier that I didn't really use. I've just been kind of pilfering it, but this is the extent of my Destiny Grimoire collection. I don't have the full thing. I've kind of stopped buying them, but that's the thing with the Bungie games. It's always been the lore for me. It's always been the story, the art, the background stuff. Because I've never been an amazing competitive gamer, really. I just kind of took it in as like a fantasy fictional world. Yeah, I got one of these at some point as well, which is a E304 exclusive prototype, which I presume is a precursor to this one.
Yes, and I did have those somewhere. I don't know what happened.
I have the little baggie for it as well, but
yes, right. I was showing those off in the one of the first streams. Yeah, I had one that was one of 500 or maybe 250, and it was the 2003. I think it was 2003.
So it says one of 1,000. I presume it's not like they all say that.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, there's
not number one.
Yes, right. All right, Mev, I sent you the code as a picture. I hope you can transcribe it, and then I should see you appear here, and then we can end this 2+ hour extravaganza with.
Do you have the Myth 2 handbook?
No, I don't think I have that.
So this was written by it was a kind of like a strategy guide plus.
Right.
For
that name sounds the familiar.
Yeah, he was called Death Whore. It was written in 1999, self-published.
Right.
And it's it's a thick volume, but what was interesting about it is it didn't just have like how to play the game, level walkthroughs, like, you know, unit descriptions for everything in there, but it also, like, a huge section of it is just devoted to using the map making tools. Like for like a strategy guide type product, that's kind of unique. And I think he says, like, I wasn't gonna include this, but it's such a big topic that I kind of want to snuck it in. But it's a nice. You can get the PDF of this online, but it's a nice document for lots of myth knowledge.
That's cool. Yeah.
And there's some behind the scenes interviews and stuff in there as well.
Right. Does it? I'm sorry if you said this. Does it try? Oh my gosh! Look at her. Look at them. I'm sorry if you it's them. Oh, Robert, get out. We don't want you, Robert. No, of course we want Robert. Robert just skedaddled.
He ran off.
He ran off. Welcome.
He ran off.
Well, you got to lower down your volume because you're going to get echo.
Thank you. Thank you.
YouTube.
You got to lower down your volume because you're going to get echo. Yeah, I think she's getting lag now. Let's see. Are you able to? Are you hearing us now?
I can hear you. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm hearing it through my computer, but I have the volume low. Hold on.
Right.
Okay, I can hear you now.
1, 2, 3. Excellent.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Welcome. It's so nice to see you.
It's nice to see you.
All right. Well done.
My hair's still wet.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the little bit of insight you were throwing in there with all this stuff.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Was it?
It was fun walking down memory lane.
Right. Right.
Yeah, the commentary, you know, from the peanut gallery over here was pretty funny. Like, I wish I could share it, but you know, he was just speaking so much I couldn't type at all. So.
No, it was great. I wish I had. If I had thought ahead of time, I would have prepped the video that you guys that Robert did for me when I saw you guys last, because I would. I have it. I've been just waiting for the right opportunity to kind of just show it off. So look, let's do a comparison. Because when I went to Claude, I said, do you remember that video? He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I asked a few people, and they're like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And I had to kind of really dig through Google until I finally found on some like third copy of someone's YouTube video of that little snippet of Robert. Of Robert saying, "You will be food."
Yeah, soon you will be food.
Soon you will be food. Yes. So anyway, so so it was nice to see that you. I mean, when you were piping up there saying how many things you had a hand in, even with even though I wasn't sure where when you came in, like when we were talking about like a lot of that myth stuff, you weren't there yet, right? You were.
Yeah, I arrived in '98 October. So Myth 2 was almost out the door at that point. Yeah. Right.
So you escaped that whole stress thing, getting that done, the bug and all that. You don't have to deal with any of that. But then you just started on with I guess Halo then.
I started off freelancing for Oni. That's what got me in because yeah, it was Oni. It was Oni. It was Rob actually had a really rough year in '98, and he went on vacation. And of course, what does he do on vacation? He went recruiting. Essentially, he visited me in Houston to talk to me about Bungie because we met in school, and so we just kind of reconnected.
Right.
But at the time, I was busy doing comics, so I couldn't really oh, hey, yeah, I'll totally try. But they were looking for a concept artist for Blam. By the way, I think somebody mentioned. So that's only half the story, what I saw in chat. But we'll talk about that later if you have time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was in '98. He talked about concept art for Blam. Because he remembered my work from school. And it was Space Marines fighting aliens on another planet. That's kind of like what it was. And that kind of matched the tone that they were going for Blam, And but I was in Houston, and they needed somebody right away. So I didn't make the cut, but I was interested in doing freelance work since I had anime. Um,
It's super full.
okay, an anime background because I worked in the anime industry during that time. So I picked that up, and when I moved back to Chicago, I interviewed like the third day I arrived or something like that. So hey,
Mhm.
can you come by? Because whatever, Rob gave me Max's info, so I came in for an interview, and they hired me that day because I did a sketch, the poster, the first poster. I did a sketch of that.
Mhm.
Apparently, it was Joe Staten's desk. They like swooped all the stuff off his desk. Like, here, sit down, go
Right.
draw,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
And I got hired that day. So I did the freelance stuff first, and it wasn't until like what March the following year, '99, that I did part time because I was still doing comics. And then every time I turned in work, it's like, do you want a job? Do you want a job? And
Yeah.
then I wanted to give them 20 hours a week because that's all the time I had. On the
Oh.
first day,
Right.
like I had to put in 12 hours
Right.
because there was a press kit that needed to get
Right.
put together. That press
Yeah.
kit that you
Mhm.
had to get put together. And so I did 12 hours. And so the following day, it's like, I only got 8 hours the rest of the week. What do you want to do tomorrow? Right. And that just happened for like a few weeks. And
Right.
then finally, like, hey, we really need an art director of marketing. And so I interviewed for that and got hired. So I started full time in April '99, and they've been struggling with the Halo logo with the agency. And so that's the first thing I had to do was to finalize that with the agency, with the team, get onboarded. What the hell is this Halo thing? You know, and it was, I remember geeking out on the Warthog antenna when Chucky and Max was doing the demo for me. Um, so yeah, it was, and it's just been like,
Right. Yeah. Nonstop.
like nonstop. Yeah, just like full speed ahead.
Mhm.
Sorry, that was a weird sort of. That was not meant to be a Stieg.
Right.
That was a zoom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moment.
Well, it's so that when they say Bungie West, were you not in? You weren't
Oh no,
West Coast?
no. Bungie West was definitely like I was not there. I worked
Right.
on. I worked in Chicago.
Right.
And it was interesting. Like it's a small team, but the same sort of dynamic. Dev team versus marketing
Right.
is a thing. Like there's usually a lot of friction there, and there was even with Bungie West, there was a lot of friction between the dev team and the marketing team. And I'm putting that in air quotes because we're all Bungie, but there's a certain mindset regarding how to get Oni to market versus Bungie Chicago, who's in charge of the marketing, essentially is the parent company, had
Right.
a specific idea of how to market the game and the kind of art that we wanted to use. So
Right. Yeah.
there was a lot of friction between me and Alex Akita because I essentially like took over like doing character stuff, and
Right.
it was awkward.
Right. But that's when you talk about the over sexualization.
Yeah, and we really didn't want that because like there was even before I got there, the art that would come in from Bungie West would show Kanoka with the bottoms of her boobs showing through her bodysuit, and then Max would paint it over and put it on the website, and that really chafed, right? Because like it's the marketing team changing the dev team's art,
Right.
but there's also like this guidance that is being like, don't do that. We really don't want to do that as a company. We
Right.
want to not fall into those same tropes, follow those same tropes.
Right.
So yeah, so that the picture of Kanoka with the gun and the compromise for PC Gamer, I think PC Gamer, one of the magazines
Mhm.
that
Accelerator?
PC Accelerator.
Was that it?
Yeah, it was probably PC Accelerator who tended to have
No, well, that's the appropriate.
yeah, that one's the correct one. That was one of the that's the cover for the press kit that I put together.
There's no
side boob in
there's
there.
no there's no side boob. No
It's
clean-
the only thing that Kanoka was supposed to wear for this cover was her guns,
Oh, boy.
nothing
No,
else.
yeah, no, I know the one.
And it really like why are we doing? I was really upset, but again, it's like working with the team, like they're trying to convince me that it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Look, it's going to be fine. So I started doing the drawing, the line work, was going through like approvals. Like I was like, fine, like I'm hating it the entire time, but I'm not going to botch the job, right? So I did it the way I feel like it should be done or it could be done as tastefully. How can you draw a woman naked and only wearing her guns and not have her look naked? You can't.
Right.
And I'm trying to say she's gonna look naked. We're gonna hate this. This is not gonna be great. And they're throughout the process, like, no, it's good, it's good, it's good. And then finally I put color on and I turned the monitor over and just,
here you go.
like, holy shit, she's naked. You know, like all right, so I turned on a layer and I put clothes on her and her armor, but it's busted.
Right.
Which is a compromise, right? Like, what are we hinting at here? That she has some superpowers, which she kind of did. Her clothes or her armor, like she went through a big fight and like a lot of it got torn up, but she's not wounded, only a little bit scratched or whatever.
Whereas if you think about the little,
the end to the story was that I did all that, got carpal tunnel for my trouble because I had a week to do it. I had to draw every single one of those bullets around her waist. And what did the magazine do? Just show her face. That was it. And that was the one that ended up on the cover of the box, but they Take-Two hired somebody to paint over all of the naked bits. But they didn't add armor. They just painted what looked like armor. And so for the standee, if anybody else ever saw the standee, and I think that's the that ended up on the covers also later. I redrew it so she's got bulk, so her arms are in a different position.
Right.
So that ended up in the stores as the standee for Pinocchio.
Right.
The team gave me one for my 15th anniversary at Bungie. They did a life-size cutout of Konoko of that art. It was such a dear. Like, it's in my office downstairs.
Oh, nice.
But, yeah, it's super nice. I still have it up. She stares at me when I'm like down there looking, working.
You want me to bring it up?
Oh, Rob's gonna go grab it.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. What I was going to say is that not that I want to go too political or whatever, cultural or whatever, but it is interesting that when you think of all that nonsense, and then when you think of Master Chief, most you will get is like a broken visor to show, like the eyeball or something. Like, you never saw Master Chief with like his bare riff, shoulder.
Yeah, he was like the Master Chief is you, and being you, it can be anybody. So it was kind of there was a point being made to like not really show like what he looked like. But when there was I think in 2002, 2003, there she is.
Look at that. And we get a Robert for extra measure. That's so nice.
So, and it's signed on the back. But yeah, and she has a little stand that
Right.
Yeah. For a while, like, she would be behind me during team meetings because
you answer to her.
Yeah. Look, she's mad. They'll make her kick your ass.
Did you see what somebody brought up about the Oni Alpha? That there was a battle mech in one of the early Alpha.
Yes.
I don't know how involved.
The Iron Demon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe this Alpha that I have might still have that. I guess the model or whatever for that.
Yeah, it was pathfinding was really hard for the Iron Demon.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to get cut because it was just
in one of the multiplayer maps in Halo. Which one was it? 2? There is, in one of the multiplayer maps. It's loosely based on one of the old Marathon multiplayer maps.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but there are the sort of like main bodies of the Iron Demon are
Oh, parts?
actually like, yeah, those
Chunks?
parts are
Okay.
in one of the side rooms. And I think I might have had, I don't know if it actually made it all the way into the game, but there were like, it was like stenciled abandoned in place.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Well, hell yeah. Of course it was.
Nice.
This is Bungie. we're
like
talking
a Easter egg inside of an Easter egg, right?
Right.
Like,
I thought it was also just like, hey, we got these assets. I might as well use it, or throw it in there. Or
Oh, well, since you're here, by the way, here's a bomb. What are you working on? The game's been announced. What are you working on?
well, I am gonna have to break out of here pretty soon to go and start working on Marathon.
all right,
Oh, fantastic.
congratulations.
I'm looking forward to all the
Thank you.
Easter eggs that make their way into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually been in it for a while. Like that first ARG, he worked on that. So,
Nice.
I saw when people were mentioning it, like, can I say? I was like, I wasn't sure. I couldn't tell it was really out or not or whatever. So I'm glad to hear it. So that it's out.
yeah, and he's having a blast. So so he's had a number of years taking a break. So that's what I'm doing. Like right now is like
Oh,
I'm
okay.
taking a break.
So he
So
had
I'm-
his sabbatical. Now you have your sabbatical.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's good.
Learning how to actually take time off. That's a skill. Like it's taken me over a year to do it. I'm still learning how to take time off and do something for myself. So it's been a really interesting thing. And
Yeah.
you bringing up all of this stuff and talking about it and seeing you like when you came out here, it was pretty neat, right? Because like there's so much that happened. But yeah, like that Rolling Stone article from last year, like I said, like it was a hard time.
Yes.
There's all kinds of shit that happened, but I look back on that and really I'm proud of what we accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a sort of a bittersweet. You
Mhm,
take the good, the bad. Yeah, there's a lot, and that's kind of what I didn't really say when I mentioned how Max approached me to join. There was, of course, the whole thing about relocation and all that, but I also was like, a lot of it was like, I don't want to see behind the scenes. I
want to see how the sausage is made. Sometimes you just don't.
I really loved that the games would just come done, and I didn't have to know that this level was caused this much of problems. I mean, after the fact, sure, I'll listen to it, and I'm like, I'm so that's too bad, and whatever, and it's rough, but
yeah, the stuff that gets cut, the stuff that people fight for and not win, those are heartbreaking. Some of the things that the team wanted to put in and not make it.
That was like one of my primary goals in putting the Iron Demon like fuselage in that level is because it got cut.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, no, we did. So he put it in there because it got cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
An homage.
We're trying to work out which level this is in Halo. You said it's based on a marathon net map as well?
I think that's what he said, that it was right. That's what Robert said. It's based
Like
on
an
the
arena
marathon
map or...
We'll have to scour another reason to jump back in.
Yeah, the chat is trying to work it out.
Right.
You've set us off.
Yeah.
Quest.
Yeah. So just so you know, Mev, I'm like, a lot of this stuff I'm shipping out to a friend over in my whole deal is that I'm letting go of much of this, and that because it really was just living in boxes.
That's where I'm at right now. Like it's interesting. So we get Bungie swag. Back in the day, we were actually getting free shirts. So between Rob and I, like around the time when Destiny started, we had 100 T-shirts between us, and we brought it to the office. We laundried them, washed them. I folded them out and laid them out on the swag table, and I said free. And then because so many new Bungie folk had come from the fandom or have an appreciation for what we made before, it was like a treat. So we did that. So now I'm at that point where now I have 10 years of Destiny. I'm still wearing a Gallahorn shirt. to
Right.
also let go. But I think I just end up, either the blue truck or Goodwill might be where to go. But I just don't have the time to just
Sure.
go. And I'm just gonna go in a bag and go. The kids had their own set, so like if we all, the whole family, decided to let go of all of this stuff, we'd have like 1,000 things probably. Because like I don't think I have like regular clothes. I really just have swag.
Oh wow, wow, that's wild. So I was trying to think if there was anything else I could show, but that was really it. I mean, I'll rehash that you made it clear that this was all your work.
It was like really fast, like really quick. Like during that time, a lot of the graphic design, since I was a one person art department, pretty much. It's just like whipping that stuff out and printing it, and then somebody else helping, like put it together. We send it off to service bureau and have it, like plastered onto foam core.
The foam core, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was. I just remember like that's when I noticed that there was a consistency, being followed. I don't know if that not necessarily was you bringing a rigor to it, but like you wouldn't just use any font. Try to get it.
Those early days, it was likely just all me. Like from 1999 on to,
right.
Like that year before we got acquired. When we got acquired, I was on Phoenix, and I didn't get brought in. Like we didn't reform. Like the Bungie Net team was kind of put together. Matt was there, and Peter and Max. And I was on Phoenix. And then when I was gonna have my first kid, I left Phoenix to join BNet. It was kind of from there. It's like I kind of worked on marketing from that point on, because I was on Phoenix. I was putting 100 whatever.
Right.
I think, I was on stream with Myelin Games. And I talked about 110 hours, and somebody chat, oh, Dad, she's just exaggerating. Like, yeah, no, we did not go home until, we arrived at between 9 and 10. We didn't go home till 3, and then we'd get back to work again. And that would happen throughout the weekend. And on the weekend, right, sometimes it's even more time. Like my kid was sleeping on my desk.
I remember you mentioning that, right?
Yeah, it was nuts. And then working on Phoenix, and then after Phoenix, like I go work on something else, and usually it's helping out with marketing, or as it turns out, I inherited assets, because I was like, Rob, can we go home? And so no, I still have to do this texture. Like that's how I inherited the oddball.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like stuff like that. It was just madness. Like the Halo 1 and Halo 2,
right?
Really was crazy time, but we were all pretty young.
Yes, right.
So it was fine. We were burning the candlestick at both ends, kind of time.
Is the irony that you actually, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is that you don't consider yourself a marketing person, or is that really your strength? Do you think?
The strength, I would say, is kind of marrying the two.
I see.
With staying true to the franchise, the character history, the character portrayal, and making sure that I'm meeting the strategy that the marketing team is putting together. And so just kind of putting that together. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what when I would enter those meetings. And here's the thing, right? Like I would enter those meetings with the executive director of marketing, and I'm artist number 6 or something, like lowest echelon. And then Pete Parsons would bring me to the meeting and says, hey, listen to what she has to say. I'll see you guys later, and then leave. And then leave me to the sharks, right?
Right.
But I would have Brian Gerard with me, and then we would workshop it with them. But I'm the one who bring the tools to the table. I bring the visuals. I bring the source art. I bring the sort of mandates from the team, essentially. Like, this is the spirit of what we're building. And I make that into a concise statement that I would then give to them, so then they can build from that. And that was really hard to do with Halo 1. We barely could do anything there. All I could do with Halo 1 was kind of rework the cover. But then with Halo 2, the whole campaign was sort of built around the things that we workshop together between myself, Brian, and the marketing team. The Golden Campaign, so to speak, would not have had the Master Chief in it at all if we did not really beat it into them that you got to put the Chief in there because here's our guy, right? You gotta, that's you in the game, and you really need to put him in there.
Well, I mean, I don't know how else to say. Like that blood, sweat, and tears shows in the game at the end. Even with all the afterwards. And James, I don't know how you feel about it, but it's like you see the finished product, and it's like, like for me to find a flaw in it is really tough, unless I'm going to be one of those folks that like cries about, the story went the wrong way.
I'm sure it's got flaws. Pretty sure it has flaws.
Like you could say it's flaws, or you could just call it character. Like every human
by design.
You sort of like twist to their personality that you wouldn't, if you were kind of writing it, designing it on paper. So you wouldn't necessarily decide to do that, but because that decision was made from this foundation of being well read and well versed in this world, it creates a beautiful thing.
Something to what you said. Something to what you said earlier, James, about like guns. One of the things that that Rob said, like regarding like his approach to creating the guns is like you're making something. It should feel real, and it's kind of a way, like to me, like when we were talking about it, it's a way to show respect to those on the receiving end of the art, like how I posed Konoko with the guns, right? And how I posed the Chief with the guns, trigger discipline, right? Like it's not something the normal person would really notice, but somebody who is in law enforcement or who is in the service or who knows guns will see that little bit of detail, and there'd be something in there for them. And then the sort of that tangent, not tangential, it's this unspoken thing where you see something that felt like it could be real, and that's because there is that detail that was added, not just like the way it's held, but the details on the gun, the way like the amount of bullets will actually exist in that little clip or that magazine, because Rob built it that way so that you can actually put that many rounds in there.
Right.
But it's just this added detail. It's totally not necessary. It's like it's this extra step that kind of
it goes hand in hand with the sort of fans who look at every single pixel detail, try and find a secret, like a hippo on a shotgun shell.
On a shotgun shell.
And
yes.
Because all that thought was put into it, there's a reward in like uncovering all the secrets, because there's stuff there that you find.
Yeah, those looking on the surface will get a sense of the heft and breadth and the weight of something, and that it feels right because it was really kind of thought of it that it was from inception. It was made to feel that way, and that's I don't know, like. That's what I really liked about the studio. Like when I joined, it's like this level of care went to a lot of the things that were put in a partnership with the community, like that I felt was, stayed with the company for a long time. That's kind of why I stayed for how long I did, despite, everything else that was going on.
Right. Well,
it's still there. It's just that there's just so many voices now, so it's hard to kind of filter through, like what to gravitate towards, and so many different tastes, so many different takes, are going on both in the community and in the company. Right. So there's a lot of noise for sure. Like now, right?
Yeah. Right. Like I'm very I'm looking forward to Marathon just to see what it's about, and like I'm both not putting it on a pedestal, nor am I dismissing it out of hand. I'm curious to see what will come of it. I'm knowing that Robert's involved. I mean, that's a great ingredient. He's not the only person involved. There's a lot of hands in that. So
he's super, super happy with the team that he's working with. It's a really, really collaborative environment from what I'm getting.
That's great.
Yeah, because I mean, Rob left during the time when it was not collaborative. That's why he left. And for I know this is, I want to whisper it, but he's sitting over there. He's going to hear me. But I think it speaks a lot to get him interested in the company again. So that to me personally, like that speaks volumes, at least for the team working on the narrative.
It is good to hear that. It's absolutely great to hear
the
that.
original guard, you know.
I hope other folk. I hope this makes its way out to the other, you know, the other 90% of the internet, and they can hear that, because I think that's important for folks to know. So,
my personal take, right, is not like for what that's worth.
Yeah. No guarantees. No guarantees. So I did want to say that you mentioned how you're taking a break, but yet at the same time, you know, when I see of your feed, like you're I guess you taking a break, you're still insanely busy with the work you're doing with those models that you're making out of crafting out of, you know what I'm talking about, right? The houses, I mean, that's like,
I'm obsessed with the player housing in Elder Scrolls Online. So I'm just like super happy with that creative outlet, because they can make anything. I'm actually like considering, because I want landscaping done around the house. I might have to do something with it. So,
James, is this something which you're aware of? Like
I've seen her fantastic player housing work.
I built the Pillar of Autumn finally. That's the thing. I didn't get to model the Pillar of Autumn. You know,
Shishka. Shishka's
hey! It's Shishka.
I wish it was a time machine. I'd look younger.
I know, right? Shishka's all grown up and like married and everything.
Gosh, yeah.
Holy smokes. Hi. Yeah. Hi.
But yeah, so you devoted quite a few hours into that. So I guess that's your like relaxation, is to just
I recently looked at, like, you know, because people are talking about how many hours. I put 8,000 plus hours on it already on one character.
Wow.
On one platform.
Oh, so. Wow, that's amazing. I'm glad that you're, you know, then you show it, and it's like, and you're winning prizes, right? You're like,
I'm entering contests and winning prizes, and I'm using those to feed back into the community and sponsoring contests in other, like, you know, other places, so I can like take my winnings from one place and put it to another, and helping out new folks who come into the game and show interest in housing. I tend to help out.
Chad, are you still there, Shishka? Say something, write something. I know we have like a 10-second lag, but here, look. Here's what I got of you, Shishka. Look at you.
Wait, focus on that thing, Mike.
I can't make this thing focus. So yeah, there you are, Chad.
Oh no, I mean like make it the bigger picture. There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, there's Tom.
Lord British.
And Cameron. Cam's there.
Oh, it's Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron, and he left a few years ago, Bungie. I know he's moved on to something else. But yeah, that's there he is. Someone asked about the swords behind you. Do you have is that anything? Is that just swords, or is there a story?
It is the Crown Splitter from Destiny. It's a Titan sword. So when I found out about Kalamazoo, like during one of the conventions, and it's a company in Canada. Is it East Coast? Which one is that? Ontario? Well, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know it. Yeah.
I brought with me to work a foam sword that has a fiberglass core. The foam is actually a patented foam developed by the owner of the company, Kalamazoo, who used to work for DuPont. But so he made his own foam that is, you know, like good for LARPing. And that started the idea of, you know, since we do the knighting, like at Bungie during the, you know, like the, when you hit your 5-year, 10-year, 15. So we wanted to do knighting. And so Jim McQuillan had this idea to like award swords to Bungie folks who I think get their 10-year. And so we started like this sort of like, we would order however many swords we needed from Kalamazoo. And so when Destiny came out and I wanted to do replicas, I reached out, or I asked our consumer products director to reach out to those guys to see if they could do replicas, and we ended up doing a deal with them. But they're a small volume, like kind of company, because they do a lot of stuff for just LARPing. But so Destiny was their first foray into a partnership doing video games, like entertainment, essentially, like. And so Crown Splitter was one of the weapons that they were that they got the rights to. I mean, they did the Hammer of Soul first. So
is it like fiberglass? So
oh my gosh.
It's pretty light, I guess. Fiberglass.
Yeah, it's really light and it's super squishy. I'm sorry, it just keeps going. There we go. Oh my gosh. Yes. So here it's super squeezy.
Yeah.
But it is the Crown Splitter.
Wow.
Is that like a variant skin of it? The white.
This is the original.
That's the original.
The original color scheme, and then this one is the battle damaged one.
The remaster. Okay.
Because for their Q quality control QC, some of the foam would come out with like little holes, little air bubbles. So so they wanted to also sell those because the only thing wrong with them are the little air bubbles. So they did a paint treatment on some of the ones they had, so to just recoup some of the costs. And so they sold those. But they weren't going to do life size. They were going to do LARP size, which is like basically a hand and a half. But we really wanted it to be the size of, well, sorry, not we, me. I wanted it to be the same size. And I imagine the fans would have wanted the same size Claymore that the Crown Splitter was. Yeah. So that was a limited run. So, and the one I have is the sample that I approved for production. So I
James, can you show off now? Because you can show off something, and then I'll show off something. Can you show off Soul Blighter?
Yeah, that's the last thing I've got. I'm not sure if this was predated, but it's his glaive's a bit bent there.
Yeah, he has a yeah. I think because it's pewter, you can sort of
it could be bent back, but I'm never opening that. So.
Is that? I never remember if, okay, that's the correct one. There is a series of Ralpartha ones that have a 2 instead, and that's like rare because Max had to get them to redo it.
Instead of the 2
Oh,
eyes.
yeah. And of course, paste the resistance. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And this one was their first, Kalamazoo's first Bungie reward sword, and it nearly killed them. Because there were over 15,000, and they usually only do about 500 a month.
Oh my gosh,
right.
That's a lot.
So they had to actually increase their production capacity, and that's why the wait list for this one was so long. But those who are like, oh, it's a foam sword, it's super cheap. It's a Kalamazoo foam sword, folks. This is actually, it's really, really good. It's actually the heaviest thing they've ever made. Again, like the stuff that Bungie had them do really pushed them to their creative and production capacity. So,
So what I want to show is so it's kind of sticking with Soul Blighter. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to try to share this. I'm going to share a screen. How do I do this? I guess I do it like. Oh my gosh, I have to figure out how I'm doing it. Remove.
The Hero of Ages. Was that from?
Stop.
I don't know that.
And then do a share screen. Here we go.
That there was a model at all, but I think the team based it. I think that. Or there's a question. James you were asking if there was a Myth Claymore. Yeah. I think that was based on whatever was available, and the team just made it so and called it that. Where's that from?
So you remember there was a pencil holder, Soul Blighter.
Yeah.
So a dear friend of ours, I blurred all the names out, but a dear friend of ours, this was back in 2012. He required a cane, and me and a bunch of the geezers, we decided to get together, and I was able to get from I don't know if it was Brian. I forget who it was at that point, but they were able to give us the one pencil holder soul biter they had left in their storage in Bungie, and we sent it off to a sculptor who makes cane heads. And that what you're seeing there is his model in clay or whatever it is of Soul Blighter, and there it is finished as a chrome or whatever it is. What I don't know what the material was, but it was a one-off custom made. I think it cost us like maybe close to $1,000. I forget really what the price was, but it was a big deal. So there's this one cane Soul Blighter as the head of the top of the cane. So that was a deep cut for us myth diners, for sure.
I think I posted about that in, was it 2012?
Yeah.
Yeah, December.
It took
the
us
last ever post on myth.bungie.org. It's about that. Thing.
Oh, it is?
One sculpt of
It looks like it.
Yeah, so we gave this guy named Boris, I forget where he was in the country, but that's what he does. You can look him up. He does custom canes. And
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Robert, good luck.
Have a nice day. It's nice to be able to work from home.
Yes. But yeah, that was this was definitely a labor of love to get that material over to the guy, and then he worked on it for a few weeks, and he gave us the prototype at the top, and then a few weeks later he gave us the finished model down below. But that is definitely a one-off. I don't know. We asked him if we could keep the clay part. He says no, it gets destroyed in making the actual mold. And then I think the mold is only used once or something. I forget. But anyway, I thought that was kind of neat. I don't know if I have anything else. I think I've exhausted my entire collection of stuff. You know, there's nothing really else that I have. And now I have to start packing it all up to ship a bunch of this stuff out. So
it's good that you've been able to make a record of it all before saying goodbye.
Yeah,
some digital copies of various things that can be saved if they are one of a kind. Because I don't know who's going to get this stuff, but can you contact them if needed and say, "Hey, remember that thing you bought off me? Can you scan that in?"
Right. Well, so I mean, maybe we'll talk later, but I will image that CD alpha. I will take some pictures of. I have been taking pictures of everything basically. But there is, I do want to kind of hold on. I am going to give him that beautiful drawing which you made. Well, it's not a drawing; it's a printout, right? Of the Master Chief. You just custom signed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the cover of the original Xbox magazine.
Right.
Cover. They gave me an award for that because apparently that was the first time they sold. I don't remember how many magazines, but that was like their highest selling like magazine.
Yes.
So they actually sent an award over.
Right.
Right.
And you said that this was also your creation.
Yeah.
The face.
So like all of the headshots that we were making, like I usually end up making those. Because like, oh hey, I have this great idea, and they don't know how to do it. I'm like, okay, fine, here, let me do this, and like load up the game and take a shot and put a little frame around it. It's these are like 10 minutes. I got 10 minutes. I'll do it. I'll go ahead and do it. It's during that time that was all I had to spend on like anything because they're just doing so much, like for like the size of the team that we were. So.
Sure. And so you can confirm that there were headshots. I think I saw a Sarge headshot at some point.
Yeah, there were probably like there were multiple headshots for whoever was going to be there. If there was a voice actor who was signing at one of our events, there's usually like a headshot that's put together.
Right.
I know, like we've even the voice of the ghost, Nolan North.
Right.
Yeah, Nate. What's his name? Nolan North.
It is.
I remember putting together some headshots type stuff for him as well and sent him off a package that he could print himself. But
right.
That's stuff that we that we did.
It's again a nice touch for something that that didn't need to be made, but it certainly helped. And certainly made it. I'm sure the fans super appreciate it. And again, I'm always surprised I don't see it on eBay. Like, that's kind of my metric is how popular this stuff is. And I would look around, nothing like this stuff. Plenty of the figurines, the Joyride or the McFarlane or whatever, but this other kind of stuff, I just don't see it. So it's interesting.
Yeah. The guy who I worked with, Chris Hoisman, from RC Ertl or Joyride, he's moved on to oh my gosh, well, I'm forgetting the company at the moment, but they did a Kickstarter recently. You'll see him on those Kickstarter films for like the Starship Enterprise. They did one, the original Enterprise, and they did a Kickstarter of that, and he was on those videos. But yeah, he's still working on toys. We still keep in touch.
That's great.
And then the fella who helped us with the Halo 2, the statue with the dual wielding.
Yeah, Claude.
I actually I went to Burbank to sort of oversee the sculpting of it. He went on to continue doing product design kind of thing. So we kind of followed him wherever, and we headhunted him to work with us on Destiny collector's editions as well, because we had absolute trust in him to look out for that connection with the source and the final product, and working with us to kind of see our dreams come to life, so to speak. He's just been so great. So I miss working with him. But all of the collector's editions, from the helmet of the Master Chief all the way to this Destiny. The last one that I worked on was the replica of the tower. So he worked. That was He's also a common thread throughout the things that fans actually get their hands on. So
that's good to know. So, and maybe they'll, I guess, in the new game there'll be similar stuff about products or whatever, swag, as you're saying. So that's great. I feel like we gotta. James, do you think we're wrapping it up?
Yeah, I don't have any more questions.
I don't have any more. I mean,
just a deep appreciation and admiration for all the work you've done over the years for us fans and the community and the games, and the love that you've put into it all is just shines through. And it's been amazing to have a chance to chat to you today. And thanks for all the stories.
This is what makes all that work. This is what makes it worth it, right? Like the connections, not just the three of us here, but those who would see it after, and all the ones who we haven't heard from, right? So it's to me, it's important, right? Like it's building that connection, creating a common ground that we can sort of reminisce and talk about, remind us of good times.
Yeah. I'm ready to make new memories. That's how I'm seeing it. So it's great. All right, everybody. I see this chat. Everyone who's hung in there. We have I don't know how many folks. We got 9 folks hanging out. I really appreciate you guys, you folks hanging in there. And we broke 3 hours. I can't. James, thanks for hanging in there. This save all this, and maybe we'll repurpose parts of it or whatever. But this may be fine. I didn't notice any major flubs or anything I need to correct, so maybe I will just simply have it up and leave it at that. But absolutely amazing time, and I feel like I really have did a proper closing on all this stuff. I don't feel bad now that a lot of stuff is just going to go away. So this is awesome. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks for your well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Rest up, enjoy your free time, and then I'm sure we'll see more of your stuff later. You want to? What's your Instagram? What's your social?
I have a MEV TV that I just started. So that's on YouTube. I do have a Twitch. Is it MEV Chan on Twitch?
Okay.
I'm on Blue Sky as MEV, Blue Sky Social. I don't know. I'm not on all the time.
Right.
I'm largely on Facebook on a close group of friends, including you guys.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm slowly.
Right.
trickling
So
things out.
she has a presence. You can kind of find some stuff out, subscribe, and then you'll see stuff percolate over time. And James, I know we didn't really get to talk too much about the new myth.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to quickly give a.
All I'll just say is that Myth is alive and well. It's been had a recent update from the fans. If you go to projectmagma.net, you'll see all about that. There's been a fan remaster of all the original sprites and textures with input from people like Mark Bernal and Doug Zartman and various people. So just check it out and download the update and join us for Myth World Cup, which is ongoing.
Oh, nice.
Amazing.
Wish me luck. Qualifying round on Saturday.
That's great. And me, you will find me poolside lounging with a drink in hand, just hanging out, enjoying all this fun stuff and imbibing all the new games and everything. So take care, everyone. We're gonna close it off, and I don't even know. Oh, here we go. We're gonna end the stream. We're gonna click end stream here. This was fun. I really had a great time doing this.
Yeah, thank you again for the trip.
You got it. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you Starside.
See you Starside. Be brave.